pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, roll, Atlantic.
Water towers can fly! Yes!
Tango Delta nominal.
Flight down SC off. Bring in SC off.
Yikes. You bet. Okay. We don't need any more of these.
All right, folks, we're going to hit the ground running here today, or actually lift off of the ground. NASA spaceflight team is here because they have started stacking a tower section. This is section number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think. This is the fifth stack, or the fourth stack for tower section number 5. It always gets confusing with those. Let us know if you can hear us and see the view from Boca Chica there, where the tower section is already almost halfway up. We were waiting for that thing to go because we don't want you to have to sit around for 3 hours while nothing's happening. And then it started to go, and it went quickly. Let me run through the people that are here really quick. With the rest of NASA spaceflight, back in the studio, providing some live Q&A, Chris Gebhardt, we got you on?
Yes, indeed you do. Good morning, Doss. How's it going?
Oh, good morning. We're going quick, fast, and in a hurry this morning to watch this, not miss this tower section. Chris is the assistant managing editor for NASA Spaceflight, joining us on a regular basis. We appreciate you through. And then we've also got Steve Marr. Steve, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm great. Surprise, surprise. There's a tower segment in the air.
We were all sitting around like, all right, it looks like it's hooked up. Are they going to unbolt it? All right, we may have time to do this. And all of a sudden, the thing's in the air. So
yeah, Jack's like, hey, it's lifting, guys. We got to go.
We got a bunch of tweets and stuff from viewers as well. It's like, where's NASA Spaceflight? We're all here waiting to go. It just started going a lot more quickly than we thought this morning. But Steven is one of our photographers and commentators and people you see on the streams all the time. And last but not least, we've got Michael back in the studio. Michael, we got you too?
Yes, we do.
All right. And Michael, of course, making sure everything continues working. But last but not least, of course, the very close-in camera, Mr. Jack Beyer. Jack, I don't know if we've got you on comms, but let's see how robot-y you are today. Okay, Das.
Pretty robot-y.
No, we got you there. Yeah, we heard you, Jack. Jack, of course, is out there in the field. I have switched over to his camera briefly, and you can see there close in. He was busy with robots this morning, and then had to run over here to get a good spot to set up stuff for the tower lift. So Jack out there in Boca Chica, covering for Boca Chica Gal while she takes a little bit of time to hang out and chill out a little bit. So Jack, thank you so much for being out there in the field. As always, these are live streams. Yeah, cool, Jack. These are live streams, folks. If you've got questions for us, tag us in chat at NASA Spaceflight. That'll put it into some cool software that Michael has written. And same thing with the super chats. If you do super chats and stuff like that, we are able to basically spool up the robot army and all of these live feeds and daily video coverage and all that sort of stuff because of y'all's support. So thank you so much for showing up whenever things like this are happening, so that we can share it with you. So let's get started with some questions, shall we? Who do we have on question duty this morning?
I reckon that could be me.
If you're volunteering yourself, Steve, take it away and grab some questions.
Well, yeah, I was like, okay, the panel's not updating. Okay, there it goes. Like right as soon as you mentioned the questions and stuff, it's like,
I
bam, there it is.
was stalling until I saw it update, so I knew that the answer could be yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, hey, let's hit the ground running, as you said. Let's see, we've got a question from One Pie Man Pie said at NASA Space. By the way, you don't have to leave a super chat to get a question in. We've got a queue that's just dedicated to the at NASA Spaceflight questions, and we're keeping an eye on that too. And we have a special queue just for those. But One Pie Man Pie says, do you think that they will start manufacturing Starships on a production line once the test program is done, or will they move operations to Florida once everything is up and running? You know, I was kind of talking to Harry Stranger. If you guys are on Twitter, you probably know who Harry Stranger is. He takes some satellite imagery and stuff and posts it out. And you know, we're kind of like just spitballing, like what's it going to be like once it's all like, you know, once Starship is sort of ready to go. Because like I was talking about like the orbital tower. I wonder if they'll do the segment thing, build it somewhere else on Kennedy Space Center grounds and then move them over like they're doing at Boca. Yeah, I don't know, but as far as like a production line, I don't know. I haven't thought too much about that or that far ahead. Does anybody have any kind of insight or ideas what they might do once Starship is like basically like Falcon 9, where Falcon 9's like it's
Yeah.
pretty much a complete design and they know what they're doing. What's that going to be like?
I mean, I think from what we know, the Boca Chica is going to be, or Starbase is going to be their main production site. I mean, never say
Mhm.
never for other locations. But the fact that they sort of are talking about building them and then flying them out to offshore oil rig platforms that have been reconverted to launch sites or needing them at Florida, like I think you might see potentially a couple of build sites, primarily at Boca, but maybe for lunar programs, maybe for things that NASA is using them for, maybe we see them built over at Kennedy in some regard. It will eventually become more of an assembly line production, just like the Falcon 9, as they get the design sort of into the realm of where they want it to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Ticonderoga says asteroids guys from SN15 flight is here. All will be great. Cheers from Bulgaria. Love you guys, he said. Thank you very much. Um, Moldy Space Adventure or Industries says hashtag Tower Thomas. Texas Tower Thomas. Let's see. Let's get one that's actually a question here. Wesley Heron said, "Will Starship with on-orbit refueling make Mars transfer windows irrelevant, or can you still only launch every approximately 2 years?" That
Um,
that'll probably always be the case, right? I mean, you
you
don't want to
yeah,
launch
yeah,
to Mars.
yeah.
Like you don't want to launch to Mars when it's on the other side of the solar system. I mean, it seems like
Right.
you could just cut that corner and just like dive towards the sun and cross cross through that way. But that requires so much energy to do that.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly what you were saying. Like with enough propellant, you can pretty much force an encounter whenever you want.
Yeah.
How, however, it's that first part of that that's really the important part, right? It's the fuel. So yes, if you can refuel Starship with 100 metric, sorry, let's start that again. If you can refuel a Starship in orbit to have a full propellant tank, right? That obviously gives you more of a delta V potential, a velocity change potential, energy change potential to get you to Mars. I think what we've heard so far is a discussion about how that could be used to shorten the trip. So shorten it from 6 months down to three, because the again, the more propellant you have, the more you can align your trajectory more or less straight to intercept quicker. Of course, if you intercept quicker, you've got to kill all of that velocity as you're coming into Mars, either before you get there or with the atmosphere or with the landing burn. But it's possible to do that. But you'd still want to try to be aligning with some form of a transfer window, because it's not just a matter in Starship of the propellant that you need to send you there quickly. It's a matter of having enough propellant to land successfully on the surface, and before those fuel farms are up and running, to take off again.
Hmm. Yeah. And at a certain point, I wonder if it would even make sense to launch it. Because if it's a certain distance away, it's going to take that much extra time when you're probably better off just chilling on Earth and waiting for those opportune moments rather than flying through space, which is obviously a little more dangerous than hanging out on Earth. So if it's gonna take the same amount of time anyway, you might as well be on Earth. Does that make sense? You get what I'm going at there? Like if you're
Yeah, I
gonna
mean,
if it's like if it's like a third of the way around the solar, I'm not using exact numbers here, but if it's
yeah.
partly away, it's not in that opportune transfer window, and so that
Right.
extra distance is going to add extra months anyway. You might as well spend those extra months on Earth waiting for the opportune time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Especially when it comes to crew.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. If it's cargo, it's a little bit different story. Maybe they just want to. Well, yeah. Maybe they've got maybe they've got so many starships. They're like, well, let's just get them up in space because we are running out of space here on the ground.
Yes,
Um,
indeed.
people are asking about SN16 heading to the scrapyard. Do we? I think I heard there was some motion on SN16. I don't know where it's heading.
We're
Um,
working on it. We're working on it.
okay.
Yes.
Let's stay with the tower for
Let's
now, but we're
stick
working
to
on it.
the tower.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And I do see one question about SN16 going orbital. I think the answer to that is just no. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's no booster
Okay.
to put it orbital, and we don't. I think the last term we got this question too, and someone pointed out that we really didn't see the attach fittings for some of the things that are needed for the orbital variant, like the Raptor vacuum engines.
Right. Right. Okay. Let's see. Here's one. How long has it taken to get the tower piece this far? Yeah, I guess they're
This
asking about
far up
this.
off the this far up off the ground, they've been lifting for about 20-ish minutes.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, Rough Rider Show, a regular here on the stream, has a question. Okay, I don't know how to take this, so also let's talk about this ongoing issue with the whole road closure thing that's happening right now. Any thoughts about that?
The ongoing thing with the road closure, is this
The thing that came out yesterday, I think I saw a tweet about so it's like the somebody is like SpaceX is being accused of using a road or closing a road when not supposed to, or
private security thing?
yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, private security turning people around or something.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So basically, yeah, the county, Cameron County, yes, 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 this was public. Sorry. Sometimes I have to stop and really think through what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, that's
Cameron
smart.
County, yeah, so Cameron County apparently sent notifications that regarding potential illegal road closures or road closures not following county guidelines or things like that, with private security forces that SpaceX has employed. Eh, so there is that. I honestly have not read too much about that particular scenario because or that situation because it was pretty overshadowed by another report that came out a few hours later, about the whole FAA debacle with
Right.
SN8.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So it's a good question, but I don't really know what's going on with the whole road closure thing right now.
I can
And
certainly talk about
specifically,
it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Das, go for it. Yeah,
So I was just I
you
was
have
just
more
out
ground
there.
truth than me. Yeah,
I
yeah.
was just out there working on things, and I think the crux is the issue is SN15 in Remedios Road. So what's happened here is SpaceX rolled SN15 back to the production site, but didn't put it in the high bay or anything like that. They put it over sort of behind the assembly yard. And to do that, they didn't turn into the SpaceX property. They actually went on up to what was previously or what is still currently a public road, Remedios Road, and they turned back there. And right now, Starship SN15 is at the back of Remedios Road. It's on SpaceX property, but this public road goes all the way right up almost to the foot of SN15. So you've got a ton of interest, people that want to get close to SN15, and there's a road right there. It's not a SpaceX gate or anything, it's a public thoroughfare. And they're trying to turn into this road to get closer to SN15. And SpaceX has had security guards there stopping people from turning onto this public road. Now, we all know that they have permission to close the road with the work of the county, Highway 4 rolling things out to the test site, and we've all seen the big tower sections roll and Starships roll and all sorts of test stuff roll up and down that road, and the road closures happen and the sheriff comes out and they have flashing lights and it's posted and all this stuff, right? That's all good, but for Remedios Road, this little road on the side, they didn't do any of that. They just rolled
Mm.
SN15 back there. All the people who supposedly should have access to this public road want to drive up it to get really close, get this awesome selfie right next to SN15, but SpaceX is stopping that from happening. And I think the crux of the thing was they didn't work with the county on that. They didn't get permission. Hey, we've got ongoing operations for a month here. We're going to clear it out, or we're going to make it a SpaceX road or whatever. They didn't clear that hurdle before they put a security guard there on a public street, stopping members of the public who want to get close to SN15. I drove back and forth past it lots of times, and I saw tons of people getting stopped there because it's just a public road that you can turn on, and you turn on the road, and SpaceX security steps into the road and says, no, you can't go this way. So I think what happened is some citizens who, right or wrongly, do they go overboard sometimes? Are they always within their rights of, yes, this is a public road, or yes, protect the RGV, or whatever? There's always two sides to the story there, but what's happening, I think, is there were some paperwork hurdles that didn't get cleared, and they're currently, in the view of, I think it was the DA, violating Texas state law by closing down that public road without the proper paperwork and permission. So is it as easy as...
I think...
Go ahead, Jack.
I think it even precedes...
I think we're getting like every third word there, Jack.
I'll put it in...
Yeah. The big thing itself, I mean, the letter talks about members of the DA office going over there and turning onto that road and being stopped by security. That's sort of what the letter starts with there. But I know that was originally, I've driven on that road before the high bay, before SpaceX was anything more than the tent and the windbreak. I've driven up and down Remedios Road. So I think that's the issue. It could be as simple as SpaceX needing to cross their I's and dot their T's. Wait, that's backwards. Anyways, in doing the paperwork and reaching out to the county and saying, hey, we have these ongoing operations here. There's a ton of people, and we need to control the tourist flow in and out, so we need to temporarily shut this down for 30 days or 45 days or 60 days or whatever it is. And the county could say, you're not blocking access to the beach with that road. You're not keeping people from getting to their houses. The only thing on the other side of it is SpaceX. So even though it is a public road, you're not really blocking access to Boca Chica Beach. So we'll grant this 60-day closure or 45-day closure or whatever it is. And I bet you dollars to donuts that's going to be the outcome there. I think it was the county saying, hey, SpaceX, we love you, but there's some paperwork here that needs to be done, especially when private security has an encounter with members of the county DA's office, Yeah.
And let's not forget that some doofus snuck on site and took video on site, and that's not cool. And when after that happened, I can imagine there, a little more. They want to step up their security a little bit more and make sure that people aren't getting too close. There's a lot of excitement about it, and for the most part, people are respectful. I mean, I don't know personally. I don't know anybody that would overstep boundaries, but we've already seen proof that it happens. Most of the people in the space community understand. Keep your distance. Watch from a distance. Enjoy what's going on. But don't cross this line. But there's going to be some people that don't really follow those tenets, and so I can understand why they would want to stop people, like stop here, don't come any closer than this spot right here. And maybe like you're saying, Das, they just need to cross their eyes.
You cross their eyes and dot their T's. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
I really think it's that increased interest with getting close to SN15, and then you see the guy on the side of the road. It's a free country. It's a public road. You can't keep me off the road. Like you see those sorts of headbuttings happen. SpaceX wants to keep people safe. They don't want a ton of They don't want a ton of tourists crowding back into the site there, even though it is a public road, and the public thinking, oh wow, it's a road, I can just drive back there and I'm going to get the best selfie ever with SN15. I'm sure it'll get worked out.
Internet points.
Yeah, internet points. I'm going to get so many likes. So anyways.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe we should talk about this tower.
That sounds good. That sounds good. It is a big news topic that everybody's interested in, but the tower is continuing to be attacked.
Yeah. Man, yeah, I was the last stream I was on was when they were stacking the first segment, or well, the second segment, but the first stacking, and it's really growing. Oh, they grow
I
up so
know our
fast.
the kid's growing up. Yeah. Pretty soon it's gonna
I
have a child, and the child's gonna be out of the nest.
Yeah,
Anyway, keep
so
going. Yes.
we're getting questions about Frankencrane and also
Yeah.
how tall the tower will ultimately be. Now, someone said it seemed like tanks. Oh, Frankencrane and Tankzilla are two different ones. Okay, because Rough
Yes, they
Riders
are.
show
Yes.
said Rough Riders show said it looks like Tankzilla is finally being taken down. Farewell, old buddy, on to its next mission. Okay, so Frankencrane, point
Yeah.
out Frankencrane to me. Help me out.
Yeah. So
Can we see it on
Frankencrane
the
is the one
screen?
holding the tower segment right now.
Oh, that's
Um.
Frankencrane. Which one's Tankzilla?
Yes. Tankzilla is not the middle one, but the other one. I think
Not
in
the
this
yellow
view,
one.
the one it's not the
Uh,
yellow one. Yeah, and yeah, my monitors are not the best because right now for that. But yes,
the one
not
on
the
the
yellow
left.
one in the middle, but the white one to the on the left.
Yeah,
Okay.
here you go.
And I think
You can see it from here.
Jack. Yeah, so
Okay.
it's the one on the right now by Starhopper. So I think what Jack was trying to
Gotcha.
say is you can see that one of the booms was taken down earlier today. So yeah, so that's Tankzilla. That's the one we always used to think was big.
Yeah.
Um and now you can see Frankencrane and well, the Crane family is there too. But yes, so Frankencrane is the one that's holding the tower segment right now. Each of the tower segments are roughly 20 meters in height, and the total height of the tower is going to be roughly 145 meters, and we believe that that includes the lightning tower that they're going to put on the top of it as
Right.
well. That's a belief, so the lightning tower might make it taller, but it's around 145-ish meters tall, and the Frankencrane in its current configuration is roughly 160 meters tall. So there is still an outstanding question as to whether or not one more extension will be necessary because they for the amount of segments that they have left to stack for this one.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what we know right now in terms of the heights and what they're doing. And again, it's not that Frankencrane isn't tall enough to lift that final tower segment because it is about 15-ish meters taller than the tower will ultimately be. It's if you look at it and you can see at the top, it doesn't keep going up vertically, right? It hooks over at one
Hmm.
point because it needs that clearance of the tower from the main boom structure
Right.
or crane structure. I don't know. Not a crane expert. I'm gonna say something wrong here. Just note boom, crane, arm, all interchangeable as far as I'm concerned, even though I know they're not. But basically, because that has to stick out and you need clearance from all of that, that's why we're not sure if an additional segment needs to be added to the crane.
Right. It would see. I mean, also not being a crane expert, it would seem like that. What, 15 meters or so? Like it seems like you might want a little more freedom of movement there once you get up that high. But
And you
yeah,
might,
who
yeah.
knows? Yeah. Huh. Okay. Well, there you go. And what are we expecting? How many segments are we expecting here? Is it 8 or
About
7?
7.
Okay, 7.
Yes.
Okay, so that'll be 6 segment lifts because with
Yes, so
the
that's what
one.
we're
Okay,
yeah, so that's what we're expecting. We're expecting after this one is on today that there are 2 more at
right.
minimum.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's see. Let's plow through some super chats here. We've got some that are getting kind of old here. Matt Friedrichs said 5 for 5. Here we go. I think that was right at the beginning, just letting Doss know that
Yes.
he hears us loud and clear.
Cool.
Matt Miller, thank you for the support. Let's see. Abby said, I call the Frankencrane BFC for Big Frankencrane.
Nice.
That's good. That's good. Taylor Van Camp, another regular around these parts, says, how are y'all today, guys and Mary? Hope y'all are having a great day. Almost finished printing my 1/100th scale super heavy booster. Very cool.
Nice.
I'm assuming we'll
Wow.
see a picture of that on Twitter or something. I hope. And Mary is not out there today. Is that right?
Mary is on a much needed vacation. Yes, I'm sure she
Yeah,
is
that's what I thought.
watching, but she is on a much needed vacation. Yes, but she will be back. She'll be back a little later, but much needed vacation. Yes,
I
and
hope
well
she's got her
deserved
feet kicked
vacation
up.
too.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Kick your feet up. Take a break. Yeah. Let Jack handle it today. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is kind of an interesting question. Do you know the average time required to build a tower section? Estimates for completion time. Uh,
Ooh, that's a
yeah,
good question.
it is a good question.
I mean, ooh, not long, man. Das, Michael, do you? I mean, I know you guys are. I know you guys might not be on comms right now. Any thought on how long those tower sections themselves take to build? I don't remember that.
So from my perspective, I would probably incorrectly say a matter of days. What I saw when I was out there, I would see a huge semi truck with a flatbed carrying one of the tower legs, and then later that day, I'd see that leg stood up next to the other legs, and then
Whoa.
another semi
Ah,
would come in with a leg, and that leg would arrive, and then literally later that day, this leg would get stood up next to the other one. So all the subsequent boltings and preparations and stuff like that's a different story. That's why I said I was probably wrong. But when those segments arrive, they don't mess around. They come right off the truck and they put them right there. They have that little assembly site back there behind the Starbase sign, and they don't play around. But clearly, it's probably actually weeks. I just saw them get a leg off a truck and put it right up. So
wow.
Yeah,
So
it
there
does
you
seem
go.
like they just kind of showed up like so quickly. Yeah, I mean they're super fast out there, and as you can see, it looks like the tower has cleared the tower.
the tower has
Uh,
cleared the tower. Nice.
yeah,
Yes.
we're waiting
Yesterday
for it
they
to.
yesterday they set up 4 legs higher bottom towers. Yeah, a matter of DOS is great.
Wow. Okay, so just a couple of days, I think, is what Jack was saying there.
Yeah, they don't play around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now we're waiting for the segment to sort of translate over and be over top the existing tower. And there's
Yeah.
probably already some workers up there kind of waiting for it to come to them, and they kind of like guide it into position. I wonder what that's like, you know, because it, literally massive, right? And but you still see these little people up there, and they're like kind of shimmying it into the exact position because it's got like these slots, right? If I remember right, it seemed like there was like I don't, like a sheet or you know like a piece of metal that goes where it kind of slides in, and I wonder like how much effort it takes to push that tower segment or pull it to get it just in the right position. It's got to be a weird thing.
Um, yeah. I mean, we definitely see them up there working with it. It's really cool when you see the time lapse of these power mates where you can then see the crane moving. Because if you just look at it right now, like sometimes you can't tell that the crane is actually inching forward with it. So I know the crane does a lot of that initial alignment and then lowering, but definitely, yeah. I mean, we've seen them before, like have to really use those taglines to wrestle these things into position
Yeah.
sometimes closer to the ground. But yeah, there's definitely some last minute movement and everything that takes place up there before the final lower.
Right. Right. Let's see. Doug Bateson is a new member, folks. If you would like to support NASA spaceflight on a regular basis, you can become a member, and you get some special perks. At one of those levels, you actually get access to a special Discord server just for other members, and you guys can chat about stuff. And also, members of the NASA spaceflight team frequent in there and talk to you guys. So we definitely appreciate those memberships. We need them, really. I mean, if we didn't have that kind of support, we wouldn't be able to do this kind of stuff. Um, oh, Mike Smith mentioned with a $20 super chat, tower stacking and SN16 on the move. What a day! Yep, that's true.
What
Doc Watson, what?
y'all act like we're not keeping an eye on that too. The
There
tower
it
Yeah,
is.
segment.
there it is.
the tower segment is imminently being stacked, so we've been focusing on that. But I've got another eye split off over here watching SN16, and if that thing starts to go one way or the other, I guarantee you we've got cameras on it. I don't want people to be disappointed. I know people are like, "Oh, SN16, SN16," but we're watching that tower stack, and I am also watching SN16 here, y'all. So
Yeah.
we are super busy today.
It's all about the reveal.
Yeah, right?
Uh-huh.
Almost like it was planned. I promise it wasn't. I knew they were working on it, but I didn't know when they were going to be ready with that. Okay, so Doc Watson said, "I'm still going for Tower McTowerface. Each of you give me your nickname for the tower. No excuses." Oh, I didn't read that question all the way through. Apparently, we're being put on the spot to
Oh dear.
reveal our nicknames.
I'm going to call it the Starship Launch Tower.
Wow, that's very original. I never would have thought of that.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know.
yeah,
You were
right.
probably hoping for a much funnier thing there than and did not
Well,
materialize.
you're doing just as good as I'm not coming up with anything. Paul Bunyan? I don't know.
All right.
All right. I mean, that works. That's good.
Cool.
Yeah. Let's see. I think they're trying to help us out with the Frankencrane stuff. Okay, so segments are more to 18 meters to 20 meters. A long and short segment of the boom of Frankencrane are 12 meters and 6 meters. So they have different size segments that they can add or remove from Frankencrane.
Yeah.
So they can, so it's not just like it's got to be 20 meters or nothing. It could be.
Yeah, so so that's helpful. Yeah, that maybe it's just a smaller segment, or maybe it's already there. That's the thing. When you're dealing with perspectives, it's all weird.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, here's an interesting. This is not as tower related, but it's definitely still Starship related. Let's
Hey,
see.
real quick,
Oh,
Steve,
go ahead.
real quick. You know what we haven't done in a while? We haven't enhanced in a while, have we?
Oh,
So we've been
no, we have
working on
not.
some stuff here. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer view of the
Oh,
crane there. Look at that with the clouds in the background.
that is beautiful.
That's the shot.
And
Yeah.
I love that Frankencrane has all these different colors too, because I always like colorful photos, and this is just beautiful. You never would
Yeah.
have thought
Sorry
that
to
like an
interrupt. I
industrial.
needed to say I was going to switch over there real quick. So
That's all good. Yeah, you never would have thought that like an industrial scene could be described as beautiful, but this is beautiful.
yeah.
Way to go, Jack. Wh- where was I? Oh yeah, Akintor Jojo. Is it plausible they will have a centrifuge on cruise starships for sleeping, toilet, food growth? They could get about 0.1 G easily without too many side effects.
Yeah, so I mean,
Like
they've
inside
talked about.
independent?
Yeah, no, it would be more efficient really to do to basically tether a couple of them together in some way and do and get gravity through a spin to the entire station in that
Right.
configuration. I know we did the math at some point about what it would take to get like usable G-forces or something like that on just a starship itself, and the rotation rate per minute was not conducive
Right.
to habitation. But yeah, the more you start adding rotating parts inside of a ship where other parts aren't going to rotate, the more complexity you add into your system, the more options you have for things to break and for things to go wrong. And a huge part of the overall Starship design is to de-engineer as much as possible. So if they were going to go for artificial gravity creation, they would most likely go the route of trying to figure out how to tether them together and doing the spin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
from a
'cause
physics
there's that.
perspective, the radius just isn't big enough either. Starship is big,
Yeah.
but it's not big enough to have anything beyond an amusement park ride that would just make people vomit inside if you tried to spin them. You need a much
Yeah.
longer radius so that the differential between your feet and your head is a lower percentage of the radius of the circle, because that's what messes you up. Right? It's more of one of
Yeah.
those amusement park rides where you stick to the wall and they drop the floor away from you, as opposed to what you would think would be useful artificial partial gravity. So
Yeah.
good times.
Yep. That's exactly what I was going to say. I'm seeing a couple suggestions for names. I see Tower Source Rex. That's good.
Nice.
Let's see, soaring, not soaring. It's soaring, not roaring. That's good.
Okay.
That's good. Very nice. We appreciate that. And then also I see BBC Big Booster Catcher. Very
Oh,
nice.
geez. We got a
And
star
then,
catcher over here.
yep, I saw the Star Catcher. Yep. Yeah. Great names, y'all. Yeah, you're better than Chris and I. That's for sure. Let's see. Ron Smith. Is it me, or does the tower look like someone turned the ISS Trust 90 degrees? Need a Sarge and some solar arrays. We'll have robo arms.
Well,
Yeah,
welcome to what the trust structure looks like underneath all of those things that you see. um,
exactly.
that you see outside. I mean, when we call it a trust structure, we actually, I mean, that is exactly, it's named for exactly what it is. Yeah, no, it's a bare bones trust structure underneath all of the stuff that's outfitted to it. Yep, there.
And speaking of which, there's a couple of folks out there utilizing that trust structure right now, right?
There are
On the
indeed,
okay.
yeah. Very quickly, yeah, Thomas Pesquet and Shane Kimbrough from the European Space Agency and NASA are currently outside installing the first IROSA, the International Space Station Rollout Solar Array, onto over top of one of the P6 solar arrays right now. That P6 array has been up there for about 21 years now. It was launched in 2000 aboard the shuttle Endeavour. So power systems are degrading as we expected them to, and new efficiencies in solar cell technology. These these new arrays, even though they're smaller, actually produce more power than each of the individual arrays on the station from its original set. So they are outside doing the first of those 6 upgrade spacewalks to the power systems on the station right now.
Very cool. Yeah, I know you've been keeping an eye on that and
Mhm.
keeping everybody informed on what's going on. Lily C would like to know. Well, first part isn't a question, but hey guys, I appreciate you all for the content you put out. Do you know where they'll put the arms to catch the boosters? I would imagine sort of towards the top.
It's well, yeah, so that's actually a good question that we don't entirely know the answer to, aside from a nice and infuriating on the side of the tower, which I know is a
Right.
cop out answer, so I'm going to answer it a bit more. Exactly where they're going to be attached and how. So basically, the booster, the super heavy booster, is 70 meters tall, right? The place where the arms will catch it are a little bit below the top of it. So we could expect that the arms would not have to come down any more than about 65 meters above the top of the launch stand, because they would have no need to go down any further, because the shortest thing they're lowering is the super heavy booster. Um, Now, where they get attached on the tower doesn't necessarily mean they get attached at 70 meters, because they also need to be able to traverse up the tower to stack a starship, to potentially catch a starship coming in as well, or just lift it and place it on top of the super heavy. I know there's going to be a crane for that as well, but once you have tower arms, reduce, make more efficient. So exactly where on the tower they're going to be, we don't know. Um, Also, don't really know if they're going to be just on one side of the tower, or if it's going to be a system where they can actually rotate around. Maybe instead of descending super heavy toward the launch mount, you want it offset from the launch mount. So if the catch fails, you haven't destroyed the launch table. So there's still, until we see like an official render from SpaceX about what they're thinking on the tower, is about as good of an explanation as we can give, answer as we can give based on that explanation.
Yeah.
I hope that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Gary wants to know. I wonder how much it costs to rent that crane. Well, that's a great question. And while Chris was talking, I tried a quick Google, and I can't figure it out because everything I saw is like you have to request a quote, and I don't think I should try to pose as a potential customer to just try to get a quote from them. I could type in, I plan on building an orbital launch site uh, somewhere in my backyard, and I just need a crane for a few months. So I don't know if anybody wants to chime in. If anybody knows, all we can do is take your word for it. But if you know anything about this sort of industry, the crane industry, that is an interesting question. How much does it cost to rent a big old crane like that? Let's see. Uh, Derek
If you have
Enright
to
says,
ask, you can't afford it if you have to ask.
That's exactly right.
I think that's the conventional wisdom.
Right?
That's exactly right. Derek Enright says, watching this stream on my phone and the NASA live stream of the spacewalk on TV. Awesome. Love the coverage as always, and greetings from Ireland. Ireland, that's a long
Nice.
ways away. All right. Hey, you know what that reminds me? Are we ready?
Wait,
Oh wait, I'm
what are
not
we ready
ready.
for?
Why?
I need to pull up the full up YouTube chat for this. Get ready, everybody, to tell us where you're from.
Oh,
Oh.
geez.
So hold on, I'm not there yet. I know they've already heard me, so they're okay. There it is. All right, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing them come
Hey
in.
guys,
Mars.
Dos, can you hold down the commentary? You see that note in our
Yeah,
back
sure,
channel?
no worries.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah,
I will be back.
and I'm just reading off
Just
places on the Earth.
yeah. Yeah, just as an FYI, since we're a space stream, there was an issue on the EVA, and Shane Kimbrough is headed back to the Quest airlock immediately. So I'm going to head over there to finish off that coverage for us and be back. So
All right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, good
Thanks,
deal.
Chris.
Just to be clear, though, he is not in any danger. It's just
right,
it's a
right.
technical
Okay.
glitch with his equipment.
Right.
Okay.
So one of the other things Chris G does is handle all of our news articles and stuff like that. So there'll probably be some tweets and stuff where he's going to hop off the crane lift and go cover that news for us. The tech issue with the EVA. Again, Kimbo, no danger. There's no he's not in danger. Everything's operating normally, but there's just like a bit of an issue with some of this other gear. His life support and stuff is good to go. So wanted to make sure we talked about that. An awful lot going on. We've got astronauts doing a spacewalk in space. We've got SN16 rolling out of the high bay. It looks like it hasn't moved very far. Keeping an eye on it. Still keeping an eye. We're getting really close to stacking this tower section over here. There's a lot going on today, isn't there, Steven?
Oh man, yeah. And I picked a great time to have everyone just blow up the chat with places on Earth and off Earth. Yeah, we appreciate you guys responding. I was reading them. I saw Mongolia and Belgium and Germany and India and Sweden and all these places. We really appreciate you guys tuning in from all these different places on and off the Earth. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Supposedly off the Earth. I'm not sure I believe y'all when you say that. Okay, so well, let's continue. Let's see. Wesley Heron wants to know how long could a Starship hold propellants in Ellie in low Earth orbit? Is there any required venting, or can it maintain cryogenic temperatures for extended time? Um, I've never fully understood how they are able to keep stuff at a cryogenic temperature. I know that there's some venting that's involved. If you let out some of the pressure, it drops the pressure and it helps keep it cold. I know it's possible to keep the fuel at cryogenic temperatures for a long period of time. How long? I don't know. I would say at least as long as it takes to get to Mars, because the plan is to use the fuel that they have on board to land on Mars. So so it is going to be a long period of time. It's going to be 6 months plus. Now in low Earth orbit, there's going to be a little more heat radiating off of the Earth. that's sort of an issue, and you might hear that talked about with like the James Webb Space Telescope. Like they've got to get it far away from the Earth because the Earth does, even though it's a vacuum in space, there is some radiant heat that comes off of the Earth, and so they're moving the James Webb Space Telescope out kind of away from the Earth. So there might be a difference there in terms of Starship being in low Earth orbit and how long they can maintain the cryogenic temperatures. But it's going to be a long time, and this is something that obviously they're working on, but it's already a thing that kind of happens, right? Like they already have a way of keeping fuel at cryogenic temperatures in orbit. I wish I could go into more detail, but I am not that smart. Let's see, we've got a new member, Chris Fitzgibbons. Thank you very much for the support. Let's see, Adrian Burmester said, "Hi, thanks for the coverage. Approximately how many employees are working at Starbase? The area is so large that it often seems quite empty." I don't have even a ballpark. Doss or Michael or I don't know if Jack can hear me. Does anybody even have like sort of a ballpark guess? Are we talking? We got to be talking at least in the hundreds. I mean,
I
I'd
think it's in
say
the thousands.
Low based on
thousands.
based on the number of vehicles parked there, if it was over 1,000, I'd be a little surprised. Like full-time people on site at any given time.
Oh yeah, but I mean total because they have 4 shifts.
Yeah, like for
shifts.
the shifts and stuff like that probably mean well over 1,000. But at any given time, just based on the number of vehicles parked on the side of the road, parked over at the test site, I'd say probably a little bit under 1,000 on a daily basis, or at any one time. At any one time.
So it's safe to say that there is work going on around the clock.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
They work in 12-hour shifts.
Wow. Let's see. Brennan Deegan had a suggestion for the tower name. Call it the Beanstalk. You climb up to awaken the giant and climb aboard. Very nice. Let's see.
Oh geez, somebody say enhance. Like Steve, just say enhance. Just say enhance real quick.
Enhance.
Okay, thanks. There you go.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's
I feel
so
like it should
cool.
do the little chunk, like the zoom in, the chunk, but there's no like fractional zooms around here. We go full zoom all of a sudden, but look at that. Jack actually had a chance to mosey over and readjust the live stream rig that he is running, and that view right there is insane.
Yeah, that's cool. It looks. I think I see somebody up there. I can't tell. I need
Oh
to
yeah,
enhance
there's
further.
3 workers up there on the left-hand side.
Waiting for their delivery.
And waving at us, actually.
Are they?
He was just tapping his head or something, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Probably waving at a crane operator, not us.
Yeah, right. Let's see. Tin and Bell. Oh, sorry, this was an old question. When? Now we've had people ask, like how many sections and stuff, and we think it's going to be 7 sections total. But when do you think the tower will be fully stacked? Now, the first stacking was what, like, was that a month ago already? I don't even know if it was a month ago. It was like a couple weeks ago. So I would say at this rate, you're talking probably fully stacked, at least the segments. Maybe, I don't know if there's extra time for throwing the lightning tower up there, but within the next month, we might see the full orbital tower. And I'm sure there's still some work to be done after that, some fixtures or whatever. Well, actually, that's a good question. I wonder if they've pre-installed like lighting and stuff, or if that goes in after the fact. Has
I have
anybody
seen
signs?
I've seen
Yeah.
some flashing red lights on parts of the tower, but I don't know that I've seen them actually at night. At some point, you think that you have to have lights up there, like for aircraft.
There is
You know what I mean?
the last segment they put a light on.
They had a light on? Okay,
I don't
because
know
I
if they
remember
put it on. They might have put it on after the fact, but it did definitely have a red light on it at night.
I saw red lights on it while it was on the ground, and I just I didn't know if they turned them on once it was up there. So
Is it like
definitely.
Is it like one of those like magnet? Like if you're like a volunteer firefighter, you got the
Oh,
little spinning red light, little magnet you set up, you
I
put
don't
on
think
top of your
so.
on your
I
roof.
saw the light, but I didn't see exactly how it was mounted. So
But
I'd say it's
they're
probably
also
much
going to have to
bigger.
install a crane. And we have not seen the crane yet. I don't think.
oh
So
yeah.
Okay.
Again,
Eh,
folks, we're hanging out here. This is all live from Boca Chica. This is a tower section lift. This is the 4th lift that they've done, and it's the 5th section of the tower. The first section they just built right there on the concrete. But this is the 4th time they've taken a massive tower segment like this and stacked it up. They're not done. We think they've got 2 more after this, plus some other little bits and bobs like the crane and something sticking off the top, a little lightning tower or something like that. I'm sure there's going to be little ancillary things that they need to add on. But when they do big infrastructure moves like this, we are here to cover it, to show y'all what's going down there at Boca Chica in preparation for, Starship Orbital launch, I think, is next. Right, Steven?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I'm looking in the back channel, and Chris says he should be back soon. Issues being resolved. I'm not sure if that means that
With
Toma
the
gets
spacewalk.
to, yeah, with the spacewalk. Sorry, yeah, with the EVA going on right now. I don't know if that means that he gets to stay out there or if he's still coming inside. But once Chris returns, he'll probably give us an update
it was
here.
a problem with Shane's suit, and it has been fixed.
Oh, Shane. Oh, Shane. Oh, I thought it was okay. Has been fixed. Well, that's good. All right. Um, well, Musical Wolves, and this was 10 minutes ago. I'm sure we've already answered this. It was how many sections in total will there be, and we're pretty sure that it's 7. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this is the 5th. So we're looking at possibly 2 more segment lifts, and of course we'll be here to cover that for you. We'll have somebody on the ground and then the army of robots to make sure that you can see as much as can be seen.
Yes.
All right. Colin Cleveland said, thoughts on the countdown timer during Gwen's speech. That was, yeah, I saw the clip from
Oh, geez.
inside, yeah, inside the factory at Hawthorne, and I think people may have gotten a little too excited about that because that video was probably not taken that day or the day before. There's no telling when that video was taken, so it's probably best to not read too much into that. And you could barely even see what what it was, what the diagram was trying to convey. I think it had
Yeah.
like a 25 days left, or it just said 25 days. Like it didn't give you enough information to really build anything on. It was
Yeah,
just like yeah.
was it 25 days until engines are ready, or 25 days until launch?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, I think a lot of people kind of jumped the gun on that, thinking that they were planning on launching in 25 days.
Oh, it's
They've got
cool. There's so many people excited about it, right? There's so many people excited, and you get one little bit of information like that, and all of a sudden everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, I found this thing in the background of a video. Look, they're gonna launch on this. Oh, confirm." And it's like, y'all are spoiled. That was my tweet. Was we've spoiled people with our live videos, and then our daily videos where it's like, this video is less than 24 hours old. It's hot, fresh, free-range, grass-fed video delivered to your YouTube inbox or whatever, right? And that video was probably not released and edited like 3 hours after it was recorded. But you also got to remember SpaceX's aspirational dates, or maybe Elon's aspirational dates. Certainly they could put up a worker sign to inspire the workers to get those engines done. And is that date realistic?
Yeah.
Who
But
knows, right?
they totally knew what they were doing by putting that in the video. Like that
They
was
knew-
obviously intentional.
Somebody back at SpaceX comms is like, got him, and everybody jumping all over that little tidbit, that little crumb they gave you in the background of Gwen's video. They got you good on that one. So always fun.
It's kind of cool though, because to most people, they're gonna see that video, they're gonna gloss over and not notice it. But you've got people that are just so into it that they notice all the little details, and anytime there's like a video from inside the factory, I know people are like trying to see if they can spot any raptors or what's going on in there, and I think that's a pretty cool part of the community
Yeah, it
myself.
is. It's like starship hunting. Like everybody got their eyes out for, oh, this one thing moved 3 centimeters. Look, oh, the date's moved up or whatever. We're all so excited about it. But I got a chuckle out of that yesterday when the internet went wild because of half of a screen that went by in the back of something completely unrelated.
Right, right. Let's see. Musical Wolves wants to know, how will SpaceX build a launch tower on Mars? I mean, that is a good question, but keep in mind that it's not going to be the whole like orbital stack. It's just going to be Starship. Um, and we've seen renders where they have like a crane that goes from the top that can lower people down to the ground. They may not need a launch tower. Well, I mean, ultimately, I'd say they probably would prefer to have one, but in the early missions, it may not be quite necessary, right?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, I think they're sort of designing towards that. A big reason that you have the tower is you're boarding, I guess, people or supplies or whatever onto Starship, which is sitting on top of a super heavy, right?
Right.
And
Mhm.
on the moon, like for HLS and stuff like that, super heavy doesn't go to the moon. It's just the Starship portion. And so you're a
Mhm.
lot closer to the ground. Starship is sitting on the ground. It's not sitting on top of a 70-meter booster that's sitting on top of a 15 or 20-meter tower that's sitting on top of a whatever, right? A turtle, and then there's elephants involved. You don't have that on the moon, so you don't need the huge integration tower when the super heavy booster's not involved, right?
Right.
I think
Right.
that's the answer there. Or Mars
Cool.
as well. Or Mars as well.
Right. Let's see. Ido Deckers said, "Will the Starship be fueled through Super Heavy, or will it have to be connected to the LUT launch umbilical tower? Is that what LUT launch
Yeah,
umbilical?
that makes sense. Yeah.
Probably. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think that they'd be able to fuel up through the bottom because that's how they're going to have to transfer fuel in orbit, right?
Makes sense
Yeah,
to me.
makes sense to
Yeah.
me. We don't know for sure, but that's what we've been thinking.
Yeah. So yeah, hook it up at the base of Super Heavy and then pump that fuel up top.
It would
Yep.
require some additional plumbing on Super Heavy. That's the one caveat we're not sure about, because obviously they'd have to run propellant lines all the way to the top, but we'll see how it goes.
It can be done. Let's see. Here's a question. Let's see. I don't know, but you guys might, and yeah, hopefully you know. Are there any parts spotted in Boca Chica for catching Super Heavy? Are there any arms, any arms big enough to catch something like a
Oh
Super
wow.
Heavy?
Well, we got that mystery structure that Jack caught the other day. If you saw the daily video, I think it was it yesterday or 2 days ago. So many daily videos that looked like it had some holes potentially for grid fins, but the orientation was weird. It was more of a flattened X than a cross. They weren't at 90-degree angles to each other. And then there were some super beefy bits of steel around that structure that we had in that daily video. So, have we seen some stuff? That's a good question. We haven't. I don't think we've seen big arms or anything like that.
Yeah, we've seen stuff. There's a
Yeah,
lot of stuff out there, and we don't always know what it is.
yeah. By the way, SN16 still there.
Yeah, has it
Hasn't
moved?
gone anywhere. And no, it hasn't really gone anywhere. It just rolled out of the high bay. Um, what's going on? Are they going to move it away? Or are they just shuffling things back behind it inside the high bay, and they needed some more room? Because we know we got that big B in whatever number that booster is um, in there. So I don't know. We'll see what they're doing.
Yeah. Let's see. We've got a few more questions here. We had another question about the road access thing from Joe J. And we did already talk about, you probably already heard this since since putting through this super chat. But we do appreciate the support. Basically, some crossing I's and dotting T's, like Doss said, and they'll get it worked out. These kinds of things happen, and it'll get worked out. Holy moly, Parker Emery with $100. Wow, thank you so much, Parker. Been a while since I could super chat, so here's a little extra for the endless fabulous coverage. Looks like there's some sort of vertical rail on the pillar closest to the platform that I don't see on the other pillars. Gotta be for a catching mechanism, right? Okay, let's see.
You can see it right there. Just below the time, 10:42, 31, 32. Do you see how that one bit sticks out a little bit more? Look at the other segments, and that one right under the clock is different. That's what a lot of people have been pointing at.
Oh, okay.
Because that's also the edge of the tower that's near the OLP, the big concrete things down low.
Right. Okay. Yeah, maybe. I mean, oh, that's interesting. Man, good spot. I would not have noticed that. Well, the answer is we don't know. That's a good question. Oh, I didn't even put your super chat up. Thank you very much, Parker. That's very generous of you. Let's look for some questions. Let's see. From Neil Leet. So if there's going to be 7 sections, are they going to have to extend Frankencrane to get the last segment on top? Well, we did talk about this before, and I think it comes up a lot on the tower segment streams. But we think probably, but we're not tower experts, or we're not crane experts.
Towerologists.
Tower. Man, you're good today, man. You are on point with the names and the words.
All I can do is just toss in like side comments because I'm so busy on everything else. I just keep one ear listening to what we're saying, and then I come through with a snide remark on occasion. I think somebody in YouTube commented like, "What does Doss do? Is he just like the color commentator?" I don't even know if I'm that.
Yeah.
Trying to keep it interesting while we watch the tower segment slowly but surely and very safely get stacked.
Yes. Yeah, and it's moving ever so slightly closer to actually being directly over top of the rest of the tower there.
Look at the tower relative to itself. You can see the segment that's still on Kato is rotating right now. You can see it sort of rotate in one direction.
Oh, yeah.
It just now stopped because I mentioned it. It hurt
Of
me.
course.
But
Yeah.
maybe it's going to rotate back, or maybe they're aligning it. I don't know.
And it does look like the crane has creeped a little closer, like the actual base of the crane has creeped a little closer. Yeah. Yeah, and again, like we mentioned the time lapse videos, and they're super cool. So definitely check those out. The ones that already exist, but there's going to be another one after today's stacking event is over, and it's pretty cool to look back. I mean, that's what's so cool about time lapse anyway. It's cool to look back and see what you didn't notice was moving. When things move slowly, that's what you have time lapse for.
Steven, I gotta jump in real quick. Somebody on Twitch, on the Twitch side, because we broadcast on both here YouTube and on my Twitch channel. Somebody on the Twitch channel was asking if this is an official NASA broadcast, and the reply was, "It can't be a NASA broadcast. It's not in 720p."
Very nice.
Sorry.
Hey, they're
I
working
got
on
a
that.
chuckle out of that one. That was funny.
They're working on it. They're trying to get the better resolution, right?
Oh, jeez.
Let's see. David Nagy said NASA is going to name the Artemis 1 dummy. Petition to name it Jebediah Kerman. I concur. That would be awesome. I mean, NASA has acknowledged Kerbal Space Program, like because they've gotten some of the like Apollo stuff. Did NASA have any part of, like, did they have to okay it or anything like that for?
Well, no, NASA's officially worked with Squad is the name of the company that makes Kerbal Space Program. Then it was Private Division that took it over, et cetera, et cetera. But NASA has worked directly with the Kerbal team to include parts in the game. That is the thing, all the way back to the asteroid catching. Remember when we got the claw and we got those first big SRBs? We're like, wow, those SRBs are so big. And then we have the most recent SRBs. NASA has worked directly with Kerbal to put parts in the game. So
All right. Let's see. We've got
I
just
think to finish that question though, I think it comes down to what they're going to do with the test dummy. If they're going to take the Artemis 1 test dummy and just like leave it stranded around the moon, Jeb is a perfect name. I'm down with it. But if it comes back, it just wouldn't fit. Jeb wouldn't fit.
Oh man, yes, I've left Jeb stranded out there. Oh man, there was one time that Jeb was I had made it to Duna and I was almost back and I was running out of fuel
Yeah.
and I actually ran out of fuel and I didn't have enough to catch like to get into Kerbin orbit and I tried. Oh man, and I don't know, maybe you've tried this before too, or maybe somebody else has. I got out and I got like in front of the spacecraft and just
Right?
used my personal thrusters to try to slow it down because because anytime you got back in the spacecraft the fuel on your jetpack would refill, so I'd get back in and then get back out and try to slow it down some more and it was making like no progress, and so I was like, all right, I'm one last ditch effort because I was getting super close to Kerbin and I'm like, maybe if I just deplete my fuel on just me, just little Jeb, deplete my fuel on my jetpack, try to slow myself down enough, and it didn't work.
You
Jeb is
haven't
still.
you haven't played Kerbal Space Program until Jeb's gotten out and pushed. Like that is a legitimate strategy for orbital maneuvers in Kerbal Space Program. Much unlike the EVA that's going on in the real world now. I don't think they usually have the astronauts get out and push. What's the status of that EVA? I think we know that
It,
everybody was safe, but
well, Chris did say he's waiting on word if EVA will be ending early due to another suit issue, and then Chris said he'll come back
okay.
once he knows
So sort
something.
of making the call as to whether they're done or not on the EVA. Because again, folks, there are human beings up on the International Space Station doing work too. Just like we've got
Yeah,
human beings on this tower down here in Boca Chica, we've got a couple humans that were out doing some work in space today. So
yeah.
busy, busy.
And then we've got $5 from that white guy Brad. Sorry, Brad, that was 23 minutes ago, and I'm getting behind on the queue here. But thank you for the support. Keeps this ship running. Um, let's see. Dominic E said, "Do we know which welding procedure they use to weld the barrel sections? GTAW or GMAW?" Well, I've got a 50-50 shot. I'm not going to do that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that one. GTAW or GMAW.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, if maybe somebody in the chat that knows can at Dominic E and help out. And hey, at
Yeah.
us too. Hopefully I'll see it.
Oh, it's gas tungsten arc welding or whatever GMAW is. I mean, I want to know. I don't know those acronyms.
Yeah.
Gas metal. It's either gas tungsten arc welding or gas metal arc welding, or what those two things mean. But I can't tell you which one of those two techniques they use on Starship.
Yeah. Jonathan with a super chat said, "I think more people are watching this crane action than the spacewalk." That may be. You know, I would actually have it up on the other monitor over here, but it would totally distract me. but yeah, I think if you have the ability, I think you should have them both up. Um, some old dude said, "How much does each tower segment weigh?"
A lot.
A
Yeah.
lot. Yeah, that's the best guess we can give you, because we have not been out there with a scale. Um, it's a lot. I see nothing but metal there, metal and bolts, and those things are heavy. So sorry, we can't give you a more exact answer on that one, but we do appreciate the support. Uh, let's see. Chris K said a telltale sign if the Raptor vacuum engine would be a bigger Raptor truck. Oh, well, yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, unless they don't need to install the engine bell for transportation, you may not know because the size of the engine itself is not that much different from the sea level engine or is it? I've, I've always
Yeah,
understood that there's not a whole lot of difference between them. The nozzle, of course, is much bigger.
The nozzle is huge, like
Yeah.
almost double the size from a nozzle perspective. So, are they going to come in vertical on the Raptor van? I don't think they fit that way. It'll be interesting to see how they carry one of those big engine bells. Can they do it in two pieces? Like they can disconnect the bell, then have the engine structure proper, and then have the bell next to it. I don't know how they'll transport those.
Yeah. Jim Mahan with $10 super chat. No question, just the support, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just me. It really looks like that crane is like crawling forwards.
yes, that's how they do it. They lift it
Yeah.
up and then the crane moves forward.
Like,
Yeah.
look at the crane relative to the that's what Jack is saying, I think, right, Jack?
Yep. This entire time.
Yep. Yeah, so you can watch the red and green beam of the crane, and then watch the tower segment behind it. You can actually see the crane moving towards the tower. It's really obvious in that close-up shot when it creeps forwards. Look at that.
I'm looking through our at NASA spaceflight queue here. I'm gonna try to queue up some questions from there. Um, here, where was this one? What's the white cone near the high bay lunar starship mock-up? You are absolutely correct. Um, yeah, right next to the high bay, you can just see the tip of the lunar mock-up that they put together. I don't even, what was it, like a year ago that they threw that out there and put the NASA worm
Yeah,
logo.
a
Yeah, there
while
you go. You
ago.
can see.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you could just see it just to the left of SN16, just poking up out of there behind that tent. And that was just kind of thrown together, seemingly to, just be like, yeah, we can make a starship go to the moon and we'll make it white. We'll put a fancy NASA worm logo on there.
Slap a worm on it and call it a day.
Yeah, that's right. Let's see. Tony Main said, do you think they'll use SN16 to test the orbital launch and ground service equipment infrastructure, maybe even a static fire test on the new launch table? I think the consensus is leaning towards no, that it's possibly just going to be scrapped from here. I don't
I
know.
mean, the fact that it's moving out of the high bay right now with no road closure for a transport to the pad is not a great sign. We'll see where it ends up, but the
Yeah.
odds-on final location is probably the scrapyard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which I'm not
You
happy
did,
about because it means the odds of a suborbital test flight if the orbital launch gets delayed is quite smaller now.
yeah, it does. It kind of feels like, and we don't have any insider info, but it feels like once they got a successful landing out of SN15, that they are kind of like full steam ahead on the orbital thing. And that seems kind of crazy that they can. It's like it worked once. Now, of course, they had all the data from previous flights, but then now that they had it work, it's like, you know, it's not a fluke thing that it worked. It worked for very specific reasons, and they had to work out a few kinks. And now that they know that it works, they might be satisfied, um, at least
Like,
with the suborbital regime. Now they need to move on and test out the orbital, like re-entry and do the whole thing. What were you gonna say, Doss? Was that you, Doss, chiming in there?
that was me diving for my sneeze switch, and I didn't
Oh,
quite get it in time. Sorry, just keep going, Steven. I
right
was
on, right
typing
on.
as I was sneezing and diving for the physical emergency don't sneeze into the mic button. Keep
Right.
on keeping on.
Doesn't the Brady Bunch has a song about keep on keeping on, right? Does anybody get that? Keep on, keep on, keep on. Anyway, Alex Wright says they appear to have chosen to have the inner stage on the second stage of Starship in the form of the skirt. Are there any advantages to this, as I presume it would add mass? It would also add mass to have more of an inner stage, right? or what? I mean, what would be the alternative? They've got to protect the engines. When it's stacked. I guess you could do a thing. I know some rockets have like the inner stage that gets ejected. Was it
The Saturns
Saturn?
did that.
Yeah,
Yep.
Saturns
The
did that.
Saturns
Yeah.
kicked the interstage out from behind the engines or out from around the engines. I think there's a couple things, like a couple comments on that. One is the reusability. They don't want any ejectable pieces on the Starship system because they want the whole thing to be reused. So you're not going to get into a situation where you have like a deployable fairing on a reusable
Mhm.
Starship. Oh, maybe you will one day. I don't know. They're doing all sorts of things, but they want it to be reused, so they don't want to like drop a stainless steel ring that they would have to replace. It comes down to why is it on the Starship and not on the booster? If you look at the Falcon 9s, the interstage that sort of goes in the upper stage engine goes into stays with the booster, right? And
Right.
up at the top of the Falcon 9s that we see coming back in on Fleet Cam, you can see that hollow section when they lay it down. That's the interstage and it's retained on the booster. On Starship, it's the other way around. They've put this interstage as a skirt on the Starship itself, which is actually the upper stage. It would be the same as putting the interstage on the second stage that has the Merlin vac on a Falcon, right? So why did they do that? Maybe it's like an engineering, like a center of mass thing, protecting the Raptors whenever it's doing the belly flop. So you don't want airflow hitting the side of those Raptor engines during a belly flop, and you protect them with the skirt. That might be part of it because you're trying to get those Raptors back through reentry. And so if you kept the skirt on the booster, the Raptors would be exposed when it's belly flopping and hitting the plasma coming back down to Earth, right? I think that may
Yeah.
be the most likely explanation as to why the skirt's on the Starship. It is a mass penalty. If anything, Starship is not a particularly efficient rocket. I've said it before, but things like that, where you're carrying landing gear all the way up to orbit and all the way out to the moon, and then you have these aerodynamic flaps that won't be used on the moon or won't be used as much as it's on its way out to Mars, like all these sorts of things, you have a lot of inefficiencies there. But what it lacks in efficiency, it makes up for by just carrying more fuel. And that's a
Just
legitimate
raw power.
strategy. It's
Yeah.
literally just a big rocket. And it's like, oh, we need to carry some landing gear, we need to carry some flaps, we need to carry some hydraulics, we need to carry a stainless steel shirt or skirt. Add more fuel. It's fine.
Yeah.
All of those calculations go together when they figure out how the Starship system is supposed to work. But I imagine my best guess is protecting those Raptors during reentry because you want them to be healthy, you want them to be reusable, and you know they're going to come down from orbital velocity, belly flopping through the atmosphere, and you want them shielded from that in some manner. And the skirt does that, even though you got to carry it with you.
Looks like tower crews have.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah,
Oh
they're
yeah.
like
Look.
guiding it in.
And I have worked. I want to like do the thing where like the newscasters like put their finger to their ear and say, I'm hearing we have Chris Gebhardt back on comms.
Well, you do. You do. I miss all of the operations and then arrive for the final glorious moment.
Right.
Nice. Typical. Geez.
Yeah.
Chris, how's the
I know.
spacewalk going? Is everything good with the spacewalk?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So, just very briefly, they had a couple of issues with Shane Kimbrough's suit. A display control, uh, a display sorry, a display control module failed on his suit, and right around the same time, they also had a sublimator issue on his suit, and the sublimator is what keeps the suit pressurized. So they were able to resolve both of those issues, and the EVA is proceeding, and they're going to go ahead and install the first IROSA solar array outside the ISS. So all is good.
All
Very
right.
nice. Okay, they didn't have to end it early. That's great.
Yeah.
But that's what both of those things could have been end it now.
Right.
So yes, so the fact that they were able to overcome them, true testament to the teams on the ground.
Yeah.
Whew.
They don't
Yeah.
mess around when they're doing those spacewalks, that's for sure. They also don't mess around on the crane here. I mean,
No,
look
they
at the
don't. Thank
crews.
goodness.
That one guy has his hand touching the load. Like I guess he's like
Right?
guiding it in, or is he
He
signaling the crane operator?
Or
No, they're
is
all
this
is it
touching it.
like
guy.
if it's like just
Yeah,
a
they all are.
tendency
Look.
when it comes close, it's just a tendency to just reach out and like kind of guide it or like I don't know,
Yeah.
like keep it from coming too close to your face.
I
But man, some of them look like they're doing a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I guess it's almost like somebody's going to cringe at this, but it's almost like the tower segment is relative to the guys there, the folks they're guiding it in microgravity. The crane is handling, canceling out all of the gravity, and they're just sort of, they can give it a little nudge, and they're not having to pick up the entire tower segment. They're not having to deal with the friction of the tower segment. They just have that inertia, and even though it has a lot of weight, it's got a lot of mass, so it's got a lot of inertia because the crane is handling canceling out gravity and keeping it hovering there. They can actually have the folks there pushing on it to help guide it in, keep it
Yeah.
steady. I mean, we see it with
Yeah.
the taglines as well, those little teeny tiny lines stabilizing a massive 50-meter tall starship, and the crane is doing all the lifting. The crane is handling gravity, and you can use those little taglines to help stabilize things just with a little bit of force, just the nudge in the right direction, right?
Yeah, it's great, but you're right. Yeah, I mean that's not cringy at all. That's sort of what's happening, you know. Yeah, the crane takes away the gravity, and so they can all they need to do is kind of move it whatever direction they need it to go.
Yeah, just exert a little bit of force on there and, huh.
Very cool. Um, see, I do want to hit those who show their support. Johnny Spacer said, "How many sections left?" And it is a common question, and we're pretty sure that it's seven segments total. So after this one, there will be two more, and then whatever else. So you got a crane that needs to go up there, and a lightning tower, uh, and then whatever else needs to go. I mean, there's some arms that need to go on that are going to catch the super heavy booster, that sort of thing. And thank you for the support, Johnny. And we've also got two new members here. Welcome, Lucy, and also ZMMZ. Thank you guys for the support. We appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Another comment, the same thing like when you're docking a boat. So you can have one person with a little rope pulling on. This is a comment from Twitch chat. You can get a massive boat up next to the dock just by having a person or two pulling on a little rope next to it. The water's handling the boat there, and you can just exert a little bit of force sideways. I saw that comment. I wanted to repeat it because you're absolutely right. Some situations where human power is all you need to do the fine little adjustment.
Yeah.
It looks like
And,
they got the tower aligned pretty well right now. It's going down.
yeah.
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 And well, since you mentioned Twitch, Boggy Mike was wondering what your Twitch channel was because you do a lot of stuff. It's not just it's not just sending over the stream here. You also do. I mean, well, you got your start streaming
Well,
Kerbal, and you do
Well,
a
you're
lot of.
gonna get me in trouble if you keep saying that. Lately, lately it's been very NASA spaceflight centric. I have some games that I
Okay.
play on very infrequent basis. I get a lot of requests because, like you said, I started out as the Kerbal Space Academy playing Kerbal every single day for people. But my Twitch channel is twitch.tv/Das Valdez. Don't ask. DASVALDEZ. And then, of course, Twitch is going to say, no, don't tell them. Don't tell them. We're like the secret back room that everybody hangs out in during the broadcast. So every single time, Twitch is like, no, don't tell 10,000 people where we are. They'll find us. So, anyways.
Well, Charlie Cushing has a good question here. If Starship vacuum engines don't gimbal, then what if one of the engines fails? Won't the ship lose control? Well, I know that they could throttle the others to offset. I'm sure if they needed to, they could fire up a sea level
But the sea
Raptor.
levels
It's
will be
Starship.
firing. So the sea levels
Yeah.
will be
And they'll-
firing when the Raptor vacuums are firing. They just will have slightly worse performance because they're not optimized to work in a vacuum, but the sea level Raptors will be able to gimbal and control the steering. So if they have to shut off another Raptor for any reason, they can gimbal the sea level Raptors to compensate.
There you go. Easy peasy. I wonder if they would, since the sea level Raptors aren't as efficient, would they just keep them sort of throttled down, possibly, and let the vacuum engines do most of the work and just use the sea level ones sort of just for steering? It's possible, I guess.
Um,
We really don't know. I guess it would be the answer there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so
yeah.
You've got a couple different things there, right? There are 3 vacuum engines on the bottom of Starship, and one way you mitigate like engine out situation is you put them all as close to the center of mass as possible, or you point them through the center of mass, if possible, so that if you lose an engine, even though they're not all exactly on the center of mass, you still have engines firing through your center of mass to help you minimize any unnecessary torque due to an engine imbalance, right? Because the problem is, like, imagine it with 2 engines, and there's one engine on one side and one engine on the other side. If one of those engines goes out, the ship isn't going to want to go straight forward. The ship is going to want to spin in a circle, right?
Right.
Like, if you've ever done that in Kerbal, that's exactly what happens. It wants to fight. It wants to spin in a circle because of this torque that occurs. And you minimize that by putting them close to the center of mass or point them through the center of mass. That's what Shuttle did, right? The space shuttle had those RS-25s angled, and they didn't go straight forward with the body of the shuttle itself. They went at an angle that looked like it was sticking up towards the shuttle's tail, so that the RS-25s were firing through the entire stack's center of mass, and then the gimbal handled the rest of it, right, Chris?
Yes, indeed. And then even more so than that, the orbital maneuvering system engines for the shuttle were angled to then fire through only the orbiter's center of mass.
Yep. So there's some engineering things you can do to try to mitigate the unwanted effects there if you lose an engine. That is a good point. That's not something that we've brought up before here, but that is exactly right. They're going to have to do something. If one of those fails, how do you keep Starship on its way? Can you just fail over to not even use the vacuum Raptors and you just have less payload capacity or less Delta V or something like that? That's a good question.
Yeah, it likely. I mean, likely what you were saying, Dawson and Michael, is exactly what would happen. Just like when the shuttle in its 3-engine configuration lost an engine during ascent, the other 2 are capable of compensating in it,
Yeah.
and you build that into the design. So yeah, they would be they know what the Starship can handle in terms of engine out capabilities and everything.
Because it all comes down to physics. You got this much force here, you got this much force here. Are you going to go straight, or are you going to spin in a circle or veer off? That's all pretty straightforward physics to understand and account for. People at SpaceX trajectory engineers are like, oh my gosh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Our jobs are hard. Sorry, SpaceX. It is difficult to deal with, but it's a well understood problem when an engine goes out. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry. People are like, oh my gosh, this guy. You come and program Starship.
Right.
It takes us 5 minutes, but we get to the simple answer.
Right.
There you go.
I love our streams for that. Yes.
Yeah. There are people working on it right now. Let's see. Neil Leet said, I hope they're shouting to each other, to me, to you, to me, to you. And that's
that would be good.
Yeah, that's probably. I mean, they've got to have some communication between, the people working, the person operating the crane as well as the people up on the tower guiding it in. They've got to have some kind of lingo they use. I'm sure.
I think it's like we've heard some of it before because Jack got some radio comms one, and it's like cable down, cable down, cable down, cable down, hold, hold, cable down, like that sort of stuff. It's just repeating the same command over and over, like very clear communications required. Because remember, the person operating the crane is way down at the base of the crane, right?
Yeah,
then
can't
the
see
workers
up there too well.
can't see this, can't see exactly how it's aligned, so it has to rely on communications with all the folks up top to know exactly what controls they need to push. And imagine this: that crane is absolutely massive. But to stack these segments together, you have to get within millimeters, right? And so imagine tapping this little joystick on the crane with such fine control that you can make this entire massive contraption get that tower segment stacked down to within millimeters of where it needs to be.
Yeah, that's a good point.
God,
Here's
you gotta
it's about to touch down right now.
Yeah, it's getting close.
It's getting close. You know what? And I wonder if that the crane operator, he may be watching NASA spaceflight right now just to see how far.
This is his best view of the alignment. Is he looks at Jack's camera, or they look at Jack's camera, to see. All right, looking at Jack's camera there. Okay, yeah, okay. Thanks, NASA spaceflight. It's aligned now.
I doubt that. I would think if they needed that, they'd probably have some like cameras up there,
Yeah, they
like
absolutely
on the
have
crane
cameras on the
itself.
crane.
Yeah,
Yeah. If I can put cameras out in the middle of a field, they can install cameras on their crane so the operator can see what's happening.
right. Let's see. Max Attack 38. Sorry, this is 17 minutes ago, but wanted to know: will this be the largest rocket since the last Saturn V? And I believe it is.
To fly? Yeah.
Hang
So-
on,
so-
hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on. Uh,
Well, there is SLS. I'll throw that bomb out there.
well,
Oh
that's
no.
true.
okay, well, rockets. Let's keep it to rockets that have flown.
Oh man,
I'm
You're
looking.
they're
saying,
definitely.
flown?
well, so Chris is saying that Starship is going to definitely fly before SLS.
Oh
Oh
no.
no. I gotta go, y'all. I'm just my hair. I gotta go wash my hair. Y'all have this conversation. Go ahead.
I just say that I'm gonna keep it to the question that he wants, or the question that
Yeah.
was asked. Hang on, I'm trying to figure out. Yes, indeed, because the final N1 flight was before the final Saturn V flight. So yes, it is the biggest rocket since the Saturn V. That's what
Well,
I was
there
trying
you
to figure out.
go.
I knew,
I see.
I knew
Yeah.
the final flights of the Saturn V and the N1 were very close to one another. I couldn't remember which one was last, but technically, yes, it is the biggest since the Saturn V.
Somebody should have built Sea Dragon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, right?
Sorry. The comically ridiculous sci-fi rocket that was just a concept. So
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So Halio 1984 was referencing. We were talking about seeing the workers up there actually touching the tower as it was coming down, and said it's probably for safety. If you're touching it, you know where it's at, and it's less likely to kill you. And there that could be true.
Huh.
You know, because if you're touching something, you have a pretty good idea of exactly where it is, so you don't lose track. If you have to look away, you know, I don't look where you're stepping or something, then your hand on it tells you where
Yeah.
it is at all times. That's a
That's a
really
good
good
point.
point.
That is a
Yeah.
good
Yeah,
point.
I mean,
And
I could see that, even if not from like a technical procedural standpoint, just a human brain interaction standpoint. I could
yeah,
totally see that. Yeah.
like keep your mind on it. Is it down, like down, or is it hidden
I think
behind
it's
the
down, down.
walkway?
Yeah.
I think it's down.
Mm,
I think you're right.
it does
Yeah.
seem to be.
Yeah, because they've all kind of moved from their lowering positions.
True.
Yeah. All
Yeah, I think
right.
it's down. Yeah.
Well, cool. I think the interesting thing is we're not completely done here. What we're going to do is free up Jack. And Jack, if you can hear me, you are clear to go and do that other thing that we talked about. Ooh, is right.
Ooh.
Yeah, so the tower, it looks like it is officially down, but we're not done here. Jack is going to reposition slightly, a couple miles up the road, and we're going to go see what's going on with SN16. Is it rolling out? Is it going around a corner? So we'll continue watching the crane operations here, but we're going to shut down Jack's close-in camera and move it close in to SN16 up by the production site. So Jack, again, just confirm for me, you are clear to go, and let us know when we got your video feedback.
And we had a correction on earlier. We were talking about how much force it might take to move the segment around, and we were comparing it to being in orbit, and how the crane kind of takes the gravity equation out and makes it a lot easier to move around. And Thomas Richter said that is incorrect, sir. The gravity will pull it down to be perpendicular to the center of the planet, so trying to push it off that 90-degree angle is very hard. Now, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Well, that makes sense, yeah.
It
Yeah.
was more just kind of a comparison. Like it's much easier to move the segment when it's dangling from a crane than if it's sitting on the ground.
Yeah, I'll stick to my guns. That is correct. The crane is canceling out the gravity. And technically, will it hang straight down towards the center of the planet? Yeah. Hey, and then the wind's going to blow it too, and you may get some motion from that. There's all sorts of forces involved, but the crane is 100% when it was airborne. Craneborn, whatever.
Yeah.
What was
Craneborn, yes.
Craneborn? It was not. I'm like, it's not airborne. It's Craneborn. But the crane is 100% what was holding that thing up. It was not the human
Yeah.
beings underneath it. It was not magical, forerunner
Now-
forces or anything like that. It was the crane.
Now, you know what is being held up by one single human right now?
A camera?
The entire solar array that they are installing onto the ISS.
Oh!
I've got a split screen going on here, and I'm just laughing at, we're talking about the crane holding a tower segment with gravity. Meanwhile, Thomas has the solar array in both hands, don't let go as
Right.
he's being driven on the robotic arm. It's really cool. But yes,
lacking a crane, he's got 17,500 miles per hour.
yes,
canceling out his gravity up there, or at least accounting for the gravity.
Okay, let's see.
It's an orbit joke, folks. It's an orbit joke.
Yes.
Okay.
If it's over
I may
your
have been
head,
laughing
then
at an
that makes-
octave that
What, Chris?
Oh, I was saying I might have laughed at an octave level that sound suppression canceled out, because I did laugh at your joke.
No, I was just explaining to chat the joke. I guess it doesn't work if you have to explain it. Hey, again, folks, we have the crane section, or we've got the tower section lifted by the crane. It looks like if it's not touching, it's within millimeters of touching up there. What we've been watching is the fourth stacking of the orbital integration tower. This is the big tower that is going to support Starship and super heavy launch operations. You can see the actual orbital launch platform, those white concrete pillars, not connected at the top. There's still construction to happen down there as well. But on the right-hand camera, lower part of that over to the left of the tower, that's where Starship's going to go, or that's where super heavy is going to go, and then Starship's going to go on top of that. But best we can figure, this is 5 tower segments tall, and they've got 2 more. They've got another one completed back at the site, and I think they have parts for another one coming in if I've been keeping up with the daily videos. So all the way up to at least 7 segments, it's looking like. This is going to be the tallest building in South Texas?
Yeah.
You can see the cars parked down at the bottom. So in the right-hand camera, you can see those are the workers' cars parked at the bottom. And that gives you some scale as to how big that crane is. And then that gives you some scale as to how big the tower is. But you can still see the workers up there working around. They look like ants crawling around the connection point there where they just touched down. So that's what we've been doing here.
So is this the tower for ants? Sorry, I had to say it since you said ants.
What is this, a tower for ants? Oh, geez. This is definitely not a tower for ants. This is a very tall tower.
Yes.
I've got a couple hiccups there. Let's swap over this way while we watch that. Yeah.
All right.
Hey, just like humans, the cameras have to stretch every once in a while, right?
Yeah, right.
That's right. Yeah, gotta get up and stretch. Let's see. Greg's Citizen, I think is how you say it. Why will Starship carry 6 Raptors all over the solar system, 3 sea level, 3 vacuum, when they might use 3 with extendable, retractable skirts or plug nozzles good for any condition? I'm not sure.
I think I see where this is going. Yeah. It's a good question, right? Like if you're going to be going around the solar system, well, why bring the sea level Raptors? Why not have Raptor engines that with extending nozzles or variable nozzles, right? Things that you could use to help change how the engine's efficiency, right, as it ascends through atmospheres or is used in vacuum. Which sounds great, right? It's a great question. I totally understand why that thought would come up. SpaceX is really all about de-engineering things, and as soon as you have a movable, extendable, retractable skirt like the RL-10 engine that the Atlas V uses, that's a really good example because we see. I'm sorry, like the Delta IV uses on the RL-10 engine. uh, we see that extend quite a bit. However, as soon as you introduce that, that introduces a whole bunch of other things that could fail on you. And if you ended up, right, you got to think about as you think through your possible failure scenarios, what if all of your engines nozzles didn't extend? Now you have no sea level. Now you have no vacuum optimized ones at all. So in this case, actually splitting the difference with fixed nozzles for Raptor sea level ones, which have the gimbal authority. So that's needed anytime you're going to be landing on Mars or Earth or other planetary bodies in the solar system that are not the moon. You still need those Raptor engines because it's what allows the vehicle to flip and turn and do all of its things as it comes into land and maintain orientation. So it's a great question. Some rockets do use that, but for this, it would add complexity that SpaceX has pretty much said they don't want in the system.
Yeah. Yeah, adding complexity is not what you want when you're trying to travel all around the solar system. You just want things to work.
And
This
spaceflight is hard enough, and the engines are hard enough as it is, right? So in this case,
right.
keeping them simple is yeah.
Yeah, fewer points of potential failure, I think is the
Yeah.
idea. Big A George says, "Are there any ideas on how Starship will be stabilized once it lands on Mars, seeing as there are no cranes to hold on to it?" Now, what first thing I think of is if with Mars gravity being roughly one third, does that give them a little bit more leniency on leaning, a little more leaning leniency? Like if it comes down a little, on a kind of like a slanted terrain. I mean, obviously they're going to go for the flattest possible
Right.
option at
Right.
first. And once we're there, we might be able to travel around Mars and put landing pads, like install landing pads at other places that we might want to land. Um,
Yeah, I think the way you said it first is what we're gonna aim for primarily, right? We know the terrain elevation maps at Mars to a degree with the orbiters that are there that's good enough in terms of figuring out, okay, this is a pretty flat, safe space. Okay, this is like, and then versus where we sent Perseverance was we need to kit it out with all sorts of terrain hazard avoidance things.
right.
But yeah, we know the topology of Mars well enough to know where the flatter areas are where you wouldn't necessarily be worried about, oh my gosh, we came down on a hill that's too steep and we're going to tip over.
Hmm.
But underlying that question is another really good one about how it's going to be stabilized. Um,
Yeah,
and I
because they're
think a
going to
lot of that
have
is going to come
they're
down to
going to
the
be
landing systems it uses. Yeah.
yeah, because they're gonna be offloading things off one side now. There's
Hmm.
some kind of like mass ratio where Starship's probably so massive that you'd have to have
Right.
something pretty heavy hanging off the side to even make a difference.
Yeah.
Um, and especially
But
with
it is
the gravity difference.
exactly. And the gravity difference is something that would make it easier to take off from the planet in that regard. But yeah, the it will be interesting to see as the landing leg system for Starship continues to evolve, what kind of jacking and leveling system they would include if you do need operations where you do need it firmly vertical or as vertical as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We have a new member, Lieber LR, and yeah, thank you for the support there. That's a long name. How did you get a name so long? Crawler, crane, lift, rig. I don't. Is that part of your name? Okay. Hey, welcome to the club. And literally just coming in as I speak. Holy moly, Ernest Galvin with a $500 super chat.
Wow. Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
Wow, Ernest, that is super generous. Holy moly. I don't know what to say to that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so but there's also a message with the super chat. A little late into this month, life is like that. But again, my donation to say thank you all for your work. Be safe, and I hope to see some of you down here in Starbase. Oh, you're down there nearby,
Yeah.
are you? Oh, lucky dog.
I
Yeah,
just
I've
I
not been
just
over there
missed you.
myself. Yeah, Doss was over there last week, I believe.
Yeah, I was out there
Yeah.
for the entire week. I'll definitely be back at some point. So,
Wow.
huh.
Wow.
Ernest,
Thanks,
thank you so
Ernest.
much. That's
That's incredible.
super
Yeah,
generous.
that's speechless. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right. Moving on to the at NASA spaceflight queue. Remember, you can put your questions there, and we'll try to get to them as we can. We have a nice little queue over here that shows us just the ones that are at NASA spaceflight. Please don't abuse it, folks. Use it to ask questions, please. Um, when Starship starts production, will that be manual or automated like a Terra factory? Like, okay, so like, will it be like building cars, or will it be humans in there still bending metal and welding things manually?
I believe rocketry is a mixture of both, right? There has to be a human in the loop at some point, even though you can certainly automate processes, and I mean, it might behoove them to automate at a certain point once they're done with the sort of initial round of research and development. Although I hate to say done because SpaceX has never done iterating
Right.
anything.
Yeah.
But done in terms of we can move on to the production models and then keep tweaking them on there. I wouldn't be surprised if some form of automation sprung up. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Just from a
Yeah.
timeline perspective, how quickly you could get things through. As soon as you have a machine doing the repetitive nature, you can have a better idea of and better control over quality control of the products because it's no longer dependent on, I don't know, did the human hit the hammer with the same force? Like things like that, right? Where machines can just do the repetitive task the same way over and over and over again.
Remember, the
Could
tents
really
already
help.
have a lot of robotic assembly equipment in there. There
Yes.
are already robots working
Yeah.
on doing welds and seams and stuff like that in the assembly tents that are in the bottom of the picture here. We've got some really cool shots of robots moving around in there. So, will the stacking and the welding become more automated as they build more and more starships? I think that's possible. But for now, there are already robots doing a lot of work on Starship.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And 0010203 on and on and on has a question. There's lots of numbers in this name. Wasn't the Energia also quite large? That was 1987 past Saturn V.
It
So this is going back to the Saturn V discussion, or what's biggest?
it was Energia. I don't think Energia was.
Is it Energia? Am I saying that wrong? Oh, whoops! I just put
I
the wrong one
honestly
up
have no idea. It's one of the two. I do the best I can and then apologize if I've gotten it wrong.
because I've heard people say it both ways. Yeah. So was it?
Do 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 do.
Oh,
do.
okay.
I've got it. I've got it.
Doing some Google
Bum bum
research.
bum 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 bum.
And I'm keeping this question on the screen because I don't
Ah,
want to forget it.
kudos to whoever asked that question, uh, because you are correct. Um, at liftoff, the Energia, which sadly only flew twice, produced a grand total of 8 point. Oh, wait a minute. This is hang on, sea level. Yes, in vacuum at its greatest power, it produced 8.9 million pounds of thrust. So yeah, an Energia, however you say that, wins. Yes, that would be more powerful than the Saturn V.
Wow, but
Cool.
not
In terms of
taller, not like
thrust, in terms of
yeah, yeah,
thrust, not
not like
tallest, not
physically.
right, and not payload to it could take a pretty fair amount. It could take 71,000 pounds through translunar injection. Um, yeah, 71,000 pounds through translunar injection or 32,000 kilograms, and the Saturn V could do. Of course, there is not a there's not an easy to find correlating number to that on the Saturn V. Anyway, yes, Energia was powerful. Very good. Back to the tower lift in Boca. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, in this question, I accidentally threw up there, but I left it up because I didn't want to lose it. Will Starship be stacked with the OLIT or the Frankencrane? And the OLIT is Orbital Launch Integration Tower.
Integration tower.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
it'll be launched with that, right? They'll have the crane installed and then use it. I would think. I mean, I guess
So
they could have the
yes.
Frankencrane around and use it if they had to.
So basically the question is, we believe the crane that will be installed on the top of the orbital launch tower will be the one that they use to lift
It's moving.
Starship for the
Is it
main.
moving or am I crazy? I think
Which
SN16
one?
is moving.
And there's also an elevator going up on the right side of the
Which
Yeah.
is
there.
tweaking my brain's perception of movement. Yeah.
SN16 is rolling to the right from this perspective right now. Watch the nose cone versus the door of the high bay.
Yeah, it is. With the stripes, it is moving.
Yeah, sorry to jump in
Slowly.
there. I said, wait a second. We couldn't see that booster in the high bay a second ago. That's what caught my eye,
Wait,
and
is it? It may have stopped now.
it may have stopped. It definitely just moved a little
Yeah.
bit though. Chat, back me up. It definitely just moved some. I'm not crazy.
Yeah, see, I thought it was moving earlier because whenever you went back to it, the shadow had shifted, and I simply forgot that the Earth rotates and makes shadows move
See,
over time.
it's going back to the left now. Look at the nose cone and the door of the high bay.
Yep, it sure is.
Also, really quick, Saturn
Go ahead.
V still wins for payload to the moon.
Oh,
The Saturn V can take 37,000 more pounds than the Energia could. So Saturn V still wins for power out
37,000?
to there. More,
Wow.
yes, than the Energia. So yes, Saturn V still wins in terms of payload performance to the moon.
Holy moly.
Now I really promise I'm done with that question, but I couldn't let that sit.
And were we done with the one about the how it was going to be stacked, either with the
I think so.
tower crane?
Yeah, that we anticipate the tower crane will be the one that does the stacking. The only thing is like if they're ready to stack it before the tower crane is installed, then they just use one of the other ones. But we anticipate it being the actual tower crane.
See, now it looks like someone's just joyriding on the elevator. They're just going up and down, up and down. Because they didn't go all the way down, right? They went down about maybe halfway and then started going back up. What about that? I wonder what that could be about.
I don't know.
Who knows? Um, Here's an interesting question that old LC39C doesn't get talked about much, but are there companies planning to use LC39C? See, some people may not
No.
realize that there at one time there was going to be 39A, B, C, and maybe even a D. Wasn't there a D at one
D
point?
was D and E. There were also plans for D and E.
Oh.
Yes. Yes, and oh boy, did C not become anything like its big brother.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. To sort of give the quick background and the answer to why no companies are actually planning to use 39C. The original plan for the lunar program in the United States was that there would be at least 3 pads, A, B, and C, in the 39 complex. C was actually is now where 39A actually is. But C was originally
Oh.
planned to be there. B was where it always has been. And then A was going to be the furthest north, the one that never got built. And then when they scaled everything back with budget cuts and went to 2 pads, they kept A and B and just swapped A and C's location. And that's how we get 39A and 39B like we have now. Several years ago, at the conclusion of the shuttle program, when NASA realized that Pad B was only going to be used at most once a year for the SLS program, they built a small little concrete structure, not a pad, or pad in like the sense of like you poured a concrete pad and now you're going to park your car on it because it's your driveway. That's basically what they did. And they christened it 39C, and everyone promptly went, no way are we being controlled by the SLS launch schedule, because basically what the contract was is if, hey, Rocket Lab wanted to use 39C for Electron launches, that's great. Rocket Lab could sign a contract in 2020 for a launch in 2023 and be perfectly working toward that launch target and never have it move and arrive a month before launch, and NASA says, no, we want the pad for SLS. You have to wait.
That
So nobody is touching 39C with anything at this point. And in fact, NASA has now built a dedicated small launcher pad at I believe it's called LC-48, in between Pad A and Slick 41, where the Atlas V launches from, to accommodate the small sat launch market here out of Florida, because nobody wanted to share 39B in terms of using 39C, which is inside Pad B's perimeter, which is
okay.
why no one wants it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
technically exists, but no one wants it.
Right. Right. All right. Let's see. Steve Timmons wants to know, how can I make a reservation to enjoy an appetizer and a 5x5 or two in the High Bay restaurant? What's is
I
5x5? Is that a thing? Is that a meal? Is that a drink? What is that? What's a 5x5?
I think we could make a 5x5 a drink. I have no idea
Yeah.
if I'm wading into something colloquial, so let's move on. Um,
All right. Let's see. What is the
but
height?
yeah, when you
Right.
figure out how to make a reservation, let us know because we want
Yeah.
reservations
Yeah.
too.
I want to take that elevator like they just were. That elevator seemed like it was going kind of fast. That seemed like it'd be fun. Like I
It's a
always
ride
like
all
the
in its
the
own.
I like the elevators that have like the glass, so you can see outside. I know some people don't like those because it kind of, messes with like a fear of heights and stuff. But I like them. So to be like totally open like that, that would be awesome. Although if they had visitors, I imagine they might enclose it for safety and whatnot. Um, Alejandro wants to know, what is the height of the tower at the moment and the expected final height. You
Head of the
s- you said the you
20,
said the
40,
final
60,
height,
100. Roughly 100, because
roughly,
they're each about
roughly.
20 meters, and there are 5 of them now. So roughly 100 meters at this point.
All
And
right.
it will eventually top out, I think it's like 143, 145 meters tall. And only thing we're not sure about is whether or not that includes the lightning tower or not. That's going to be put on top of it.
Right. Let's see. So Thomas wants to know. I often wonder how you go from Starship to self-sustaining Martian city. It'd be like building a massive fleet of icebreakers and expecting to build an industrial city in Antarctica. I don't doubt it'll
Ah,
happen, but logistically.
so it's a good question. I'm actually
Mhm.
going to use the example that you give, right? So if you send a fleet of icebreakers to break through the pack ice to then reach the continent of Antarctica, right? Yeah, if you just sent a fleet there and then talked about building a city or a base there, I would be with you. I'd be like, well, okay, how does sending ships there? But if all of those ships in the icebreaker fleet carried the stuff necessary to build at least the start of the base, to get it at least to a point where people could sustain it with regular cargo runs, sort of like how we didn't have the shuttle fleet, right? Like we had the space shuttle fleet and we said, okay, we want a space station. Took us a
Mhm.
couple decades to get there, but we got there.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just launching the shuttles and then going, oh, okay, but how are they going to build it, right? The shuttles took everything up with them. So in that regard, if you could have launched all the shuttles together, all 38 of them that it took to build that thing, plus the 2 proton rockets or 3 or 4 proton rockets that it took to build it, if you could have launched them all together and gotten them all up there together, you could have just assembled it and gone. But we didn't do that, right? We sort of went piecemeal, and that's a lot of what this is going to be too, right? You pre-position a lot of the stuff you need before you send humans, and then you send humans, and then you start putting it all together and you start building out the base in that way. But the Starship is both the transportation vehicle for the cargo and for the crew. And I know SpaceX has talked a lot about there's a cargo variant and there's a human variant of Starship, but there's also very critically a cargo and crew variant of the Starship design as well in Lunar Starship. So you can see how, all of that can sort of get together where the ships are bringing the stuff, pre-positioning the stuff, but also bringing some of the things with the missions that are needed. The crews are either separate or on the same ship with them. And now it sort of becomes like when humans throughout history have moved to new places and they've had to create communities
Mhm.
in the places that they move to. That's how
Right.
that's how I would phrase it.
And remember, Elon has talked about it as sort of like building the train transportation system, right?
Yes.
Where it's how the West was won. You need some way to get supplies to and out there. I guess not to and from really, but just out there, and the materials back. I guess would be the from. But Starship isn't just the we're gonna fly out there, we'll be done, right? It's the transportation system that allows us to move things back and forth, and that's what allows you to get, like y'all were just talking about, all of the equipment there that you would need to build this base or city or whatever it eventually becomes, or the machinery that you use to extract local resources to do so, right? So
Yeah. And Elon
Exactly.
said himself that they don't want to be the only ones working on this stuff. The idea is that they provide the transportation, and then others can step in and help with the other stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. Sraven Gauntlet said, "How are the flaps on Starship operated? Tesla motors or hydraulics?" And I do believe they're Tesla motors.
Yeah, Tesla motors, Tesla batteries. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that's got to be a lot of power. I mean, because when Starship's falling through the atmosphere and it's still able to actuate those flaps with impunity, it seems like it seems like no trouble at all for those Tesla motors to angle the flaps wherever they need them. So what can we deduce anything based on what direction SN16 is heading right now? I've seen some people say that like if it goes this direction, that's a good sign. If it goes that direction, it's bad. Or I saw one say it's confusing.
Well,
If it goes left, it's sad. But if it goes right, it's confusing.
how about this?
Yeah.
It's coming towards the camera.
Yeah.
Whoa!
I told you we were moving that camera. I was being a little quiet there while we were working on getting the other video remote online, but right there is where Starship is going. I think maybe Jack can check in with us. Of course, this is Jack Byer's camera. He moved from the lift site over to the production site, and Starship seems to be coming out of the gate there, but no road closures scheduled today? Question mark?
No, it's gonna go left, I think, and right back in at the other site.
So they're just
Mm.
doing a temporary closure of Highway 4, not via
Not
the
a
normal
rollout.
county processes. Yeah, it's not a whole rollout, but
But
they're just going to temporarily shut it down and move it to the left from this angle,
yeah,
which
they
is
regularly, temporarily
temporary.
close Highway 4 for
Yeah,
very brief moves, but for a longer move, they have to schedule a road closure.
yeah,
Oh, okay. So they will actually go onto the road because I see this gate here, and I've never been out there. I always have a hard time sort of understanding the layout of everything, but I see there's a gate
yeah.
there with a guard shack.
That
So
air gas
yeah,
truck is on Highway 4. That's Highway
okay,
4 that those vehicles are driving on right now.
okay, and they're allowed to get out on the road for short periods of time without a full up road closure.
They certainly do it all the time, so
Okay,
I'm going to sidestep that one.
okay. Yeah, look, I see some waving. Okay, it looks like they're preparing to maybe stop traffic for a minute. I saw a guy walking by the camera, kind of
He might have been
waving.
waving the last truck through, but there's a dump truck carrying some fill dirt, it looks like. Where the heck is it
Yeah,
going?
yeah. I think maybe it's like, yeah, we're doing something. We're about to occupy this space, but he's waving through what cars can make it through before they actually get to the road.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And really quickly, look at this angle. Look at
Oh,
that.
cool.
So some depth there. The high bay back behind it, that's the mid bay there, the shorter building, and it's coming right up to the road. And we can't quite see the road. This camera's going to get a lot. It's going to grow some. It's going to get taller, so we'll be able to see the road. But right now we can't see the road. So if we switch back over this way, you can see
Oh
it's coming
man.
right up next to the road right now.
And
Oh,
I
this
was,
is so cool.
it's interesting it's going right, it looks like, unless it's just going wider to make a turn to
Making
the
a
left,
wide
but
turn.
Yeah.
we'll see where
Oh
it
man.
goes.
Yeah.
He- I would be losing my mind. I don't know how Jack's feeling. If this is just like par for the course for him, but man, I mean, I don't know what his focal length is right now, but it looks pretty wide, and so he's really close, y'all. Like man, he's like he must just be just on the other side of the street from it.
Yeah. He may not be able to actually approach his camera right now. That does happen sometimes where they let you put your camera down, but then you can't actually go over and stand next to it while this is occurring. So that may be the situation that
Oh,
Jack is in. He may not be able to even move the camera at all because they do sort of shoo you away sometimes because, and with good reason, you don't
yeah.
want this to fall over and have
Nope.
people in the range where it could fall on them. I'm trying to do
Yeah.
this, but this is just, I mean,
There you go. There you go. That's great.
Oh, oops. Sorry, I didn't put that correctly there. My bad. It's got some bad framing on the bottom. Shouldn't have said it. Maybe nobody would have noticed.
Yeah, yeah. It was only when you said oops. I was like, what's oops?
But
Oh,
it is
okay.
turning left. Look at that. So it's going to go right past the camera.
Wow. Get a close up look. Does it have the little
There you go.
ribs like that
At
that poke
the
out
same
that
time.
they?
Oh, you did the same. Thanks, Michael.
I'll turn it off. There we go.
There you go.
Does it have the little
Oh,
ribs that poke out that they attach the heat tiles to? Oh, he is on the
Jack's at the
camera, y'all.
camera. Yeah, he's at the camera. Look at that.
Oh
Engine
man.
shot, Jack. Don't forget the engine shot if you can. Because that's what we do. Sometimes it's like, oh, are there engines on it right now? This is the angle where you can look up and see if there's engines on it.
Oh yeah.
Wow. What?
Holy moly. So this is how you know Jack is a professional. You
Lord.
know, he's like
Gosh.
he's like he's
Ah,
not just standing there like with his jaw dropped and his hands on his face. Like he's still operating and bringing us these views. This is incredible.
Well, that's good because that's basically what I did. I forgot to talk.
I'm gonna reframe these cameras best I can. It may be a little janky while I do it, but here we go.
Oh, wow, look at that. Just ease it out, ease it out.
No kidding.
Well, this is a great way to see SN16 off if this is if that's what this is leading to. You know, get a nice
Wow.
close up look.
Look, does that say 10 tons? Each one of those blue.
Oh, yeah.
Am
Yep.
I reading that
Yep.
correctly? 10 tons each. Wow.
Wow. So what does that do?
What?
That sort of like spreads out the center of mass or center of
It
gravity there.
lowers the center of gravity. It makes the transporter a whole heck of a lot more massive, so that the center of gravity of the combined system is lower, right?
Okay.
It
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
literally just to make the transporter itself a lot heavier.
Gotcha.
This is a treat, y'all. This is ridiculous. Oh, the operator driving the SPMT.
Right there.
Oh, yeah,
Wow,
look at
that
that.
is
Yeah.
awesome.
And
Little
look, we
remote control car.
can talk right now about something here. We can talk about something. You see the pipe stands that are connected to the bottom of the transport stand there?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And you see how close to the ground they are?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, the transporter can actually kneel out from under this. So the transporter can lower itself such that those pipe stands are on the ground, and the transporter can go a little bit lower and sneak out the bottom, if I'm not
Makes
mistaken.
sense.
So you don't need a big crane to pick SN16 off of the transporter here. You just need to lower the transporter a little bit using its own systems, and then you can drive it out from underneath it.
I wonder if he could like look up that little gap right there and see the motors for the flaps. Probably have to get
Oh,
a little too close for
jeez.
that.
You can see, look at the dexterity of the transporter as well. Do you see how all the wheels can independently turn?
Yeah, yeah.
The
Some
ones,
of them are straight ahead and some of them
yeah.
are turned out. Yeah.
Well, they're even different. They're like a
Mhm.
gradient, And that entire transporter gets all the wheels rolling in the direction that they need to go, but every one of those wheels can independently be turned. It's all computer controlled to wow.
Oh, Jack.
What?
I was just
Look, you can see the
Look at the
legs strapped
COPV and the
in.
landing legs.
Yeah, you see it?
Oh my word.
No engines.
No engines. No engines.
Yeah.
Pretty sure we can
True.
say there's no engines, right?
Yeah.
They sit like right there. Yeah, there's no
Yeah,
engine.
you
Yeah.
would see
Oh
the
wow.
valves, right? Yeah. Oh my
Okay.
goodness. Well, if you tuned in today, you
Wow.
sure picked the right one to tune in on. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. All the folks that cut out after the crane lift was done, and they're like, okay, the extra interesting stuff's done today. Well, geez.
Oh man. Yeah, I hope everybody in chat tell your friends that were like, "Oh, I don't know if I'm going to catch the stream today." Be like, "You are missing a good one right now."
Yeah. And Jack's completely blown. He's like put the exposure through the roof so that we can see up
See
into the
inside.
shaded skirt. That's why the rest of it looks so bright, because he's changed the camera. Look at all the chains. Wow.
We
So,
got to
so
make
that
sure it
we could
doesn't
see up
move.
there.
Yeah.
That's wild. This is the right place at the right time. Jack was. I'll say this because it turned out pretty well. Jack was frustrated that he couldn't be filming SN16 and the lift at the same time. So do you run up to the high bay and watch what's going on with SN16, or do you wait for the lift? And luckily, the stars aligned today, and I'm sure he'll jump the exposure back down here in a second. He's probably doing like 15 things at once, out there on the side of the road. But that's why we said, all right, we're gonna cut Jack loose. We went to that little bit wider shot and told Jack he could pack up, and he was coming up here to catch this. Good grief.
Man. Unreal. Man, good thinking,
There we
Jack.
go.
Jumping out there.
Wow. Look at all the wiring and stuff on the backside even.
Yeah. Have we ever had cameras this close?
yes, but not with the ability for a camera operator to
Yeah.
move the camera. Usually they make
Mhm.
the camera operators all move away, but for some reason today Jack got to be right next to the camera, so he was able to
Yeah.
pan the camera, adjust the exposure.
So many times, normally Mary will set up the camera and then she'll be there as long as they let her, but then the sheriffs will come and shoo her away or something like that. But this seems to be like an unscheduled, unannounced road closure. It's not the full-on road closure that you normally get. So maybe that's why they weren't shooing Jack away. It just doesn't seem to be the same thing the same way they normally do this.
Yeah. And you can see another tower segment there in the background.
Oh yeah, that's another segment to be stacked on the integration tower.
Just a
And again, folks,
casual stroll. He's just he's just walking his Starship.
yeah, just out walking my Starship. It's on a leash and everything.
Yeah.
But hey, let's be
That's
very
so good.
clear. If somebody came up to Jack and said, "Hey, you need to move," Jack would have moved. Right?
Oh,
This
absolutely.
isn't, "Oh, we're here. It's a public road. You can't stop us." That is not how we operate. If somebody came up and said, "Hey, you need to move out of the way," Jack would have asked if he'd leave the tripod probably, but this is not NASA spaceflight saying, "You can't stop us. It's a free country." 100%. We're even surprised that we saw that way.
Yeah.
But 100%, always want to be safe, always want to follow the instructions of the safety people that are out there, the sheriffs that are trying to keep people safe, deputies and stuff like that. This is just, good grief. This is a treat, is what it is.
Oh, I recognize
It's always
that
interesting
person
when
right
you
there.
see someone you recognize.
Yeah.
That's Ryan too. Yeah, hey, that's Ryan.
Ryan. Yeah,
Zelensky right there.
Cosmic
Yep.
perspective right there. He's chasing it down with another camera. So they make some absolutely fantastic videos.
Yes,
These
they
big
do.
cinematic sort of things, right? With
Mhm.
Starship, and that's Ryan right there.
Yeah. That's awesome. you could tell it's like I imagine he's thinking like I want to get closer, but I want to abide by any rules that they may have. It's like
Yeah.
it's always like what can I do? What am I
You
allowed
should
to
have
do?
seen his face.
Jack, we got part of that, but we can hear that you're excited. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said you should have seen his face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
what a
feel I
treat.
I feel like for Jack and Ryan, this was very much a their vision is based on movement. Don't move. If you just hold still, the raptors won't
Right.
see us. Like, they just froze next to the tripods as that thing came by. Luckily, that there were no raptors there because the raptors' vision isn't based on movement. Anyways, whatever. That was the
Yeah.
T-Rex. You get the
Love
joke.
that was
Jeez.
And now it's just far enough away you can see it all in frame. Oh man, I can't get over
I
this. I
I
I
don't.
can't
Yeah.
believe that this was possible.
This
And
is being able to be this close to see this is not something we normally get. That's for sure. So this is
right,
a big treat, and I cannot stress. We always want to be safe. If someone asked us to move, we would absolutely get out of the way. Never want to impede anything that's going on. And I would ask anybody, like if you're out there, you're a tourist, you want to come see Starship. What a thing to see! But don't ever don't ever try to go up to SpaceX, somebody that's trying to keep you safe, and say, "Oh, well, it's a free country, you can't stop me." Like, come on. This big
yeah,
thing, they're trying to get it over to the back. Just they've got enough stuff going on. Don't give them that when something like this is happening. You know what I mean?
hmm
Just please go out there, experience it if you can, but pay attention to the people that are trying to keep you safe so that we don't want a big gate halfway up Highway 4 so that no one can do this. We want to always try and do the best we can to keep everybody safe during operations like this. So
yeah, absolutely.
just pay attention. Please, please pay attention and don't, you know, just be
Let's
safe.
see. Yeah, be safe, y'all. We understand the excitement for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the crane back there doing? It looks like it's hooked up to the tank there. Is that the?
Oh, they might
Uh,
be getting ready to move the cryo shell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you
yeah,
go. A little bit of a zoom
Yeah, there we
differential
go.
there, but yeah, I got the cryo. I think that one's a cryo shell. Who knows these days?
I don't
right.
know why, but the picture on the right with like the grass, the storm behind it,
Oh
a
yeah.
silo, and like it just looks like Texas to me.
Yeah,
Like I don't know why that looks like Texas, but it does.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's lots of silos that hold grains and various things out there in Texas.
Water
Wow.
towers can fly.
Yeah.
I was posting some jokes up in the NSF Discord as I was driving out because I'm from Corpus Christi and I flew into Corpus and drove down to Brownsville, and there are so many Starship looking grain elevators that are a lot
Yeah.
bigger than Starship, mind you, not usually stainless steel, but I kept posting up pictures like, wow, the new 25-meter Starship is wild, and it's just a grain elevator.
Right.
Like,
Oh,
with the
now
grass in there, it almost looks like the crouching Starship hidden raptor deal going on.
and there was like a little glint
Oh yeah.
off the flap there for a second. Yeah, that's very picturesque right there. And then how the flaps are kind of squared away with the camera right now. That's
Yep.
awesome.
See
This is
Michael
great.
screaming at me because there was one other camera that I didn't have time to get online. Michael's sitting there shaking his head right now.
I don't know if I should like go back to questions or
I don't
just
even know. It's just like we're off the rails because
oh
this doesn't
God.
happen.
yeah. Yeah, we're starting to kind of see the traffic behind Starship. Imagine, I mean, I've been stuck in traffic behind a Falcon 9, and that's pretty incredible. But this, I'd be okay if I was in one of these cars behind Starship. I'd
Yeah.
I'd be trying to pull over and and get closer. Man,
Yeah, we're trying to
Incredible.
it looks like it's turning down that road that we were talking about earlier, that Remedios Road. Jack's saying that's where it looks like it's going. And that, of course, is where SN15 ended up. So we may have two starships sitting next to each other back there.
Oh.
Like in the overflow parking. The overflow starship parking is literally what it is. What? We got too many spaceships. Yeah. Just put it around back. It's fine. Stainless steel. It won't rust. Gah.
Well, I can point out in chat, there's been a lot of great shot Jack kind of comments out there, and we concur.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a dude going by on a motorcycle. So I guess there's just enough room on that other side. They're starting to let traffic through.
Yeah. We are making a little bit of a change here, folks. So we're going to swap over this way and free up Jack to move the tripod. Jack, you're clear if you can hear me. Like, this is literally how we do it. Folks watching, like, I don't know if anybody actually watches video or is in the video or news broadcast production space, but we just say it out loud. We're like, okay, move that other camera, like live on air. That's how we roll.
And
we have
people love us for it.
Yeah, there's no shame in that at all. Yeah.
We're a small, scrappy team here. We're just like, yeah, Jack, connect the modem and move the camera, go.
Yeah, it's like behind the scenes on the scene.
We definitely peel back the curtain a little bit, right?
Yeah,
We peel back the curtain and let y'all see what goes into making some of these broadcasts happen.
Exactly.
I really hope they're not going to just take it apart. I hope it's going behind the Starbase sign or something.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be neat. Is that so? Starbase signs over that direction. See, I can't tell.
I think so. It's somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. From Jack's view, from the view we had on Jack, Starbase was just behind SN16 as it rolled down the road there.
Right.
So there's a chance, but I don't think we've seen a display stand over there.
Yeah, that prepared ground. Yeah. And I don't know, Michael, I've been keeping Beach over on the tower. By the way, the tower is still vertical. That's good. It's got that going for it, which is nice. No real action happening out at the tower now that SN16 has stole the show by creeping out of the high bay.
Yeah, I mean, we could watch them crank bolts maybe, but I think this is more exciting.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Another cryo truck going by. Those trucks just going in and out of there constantly. Wow.
Still see the other tower segment just peeking from behind. And you can also see that the lunar starship mock-up there just on the right side of the screen.
Yep. Oh yeah, there's like super chats and stuff too. We completely went off the rails.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can totally start hitting these. I know that like earlier people were like, talk about SN16, but a lot of our super chats are referring to the tower. But yeah, let's hit some of them. Java Man said, before the tower can catch and precisely position the booster, will SpaceX need to sign an arms control agreement? But
oh, jeez.
Hashtag dad joke.
Uh-huh.
Good one, Java Man. Great work. Chris Worley said, how tall is high bay compared to the tower being stacked? Oh yeah, how tall is high bay?
So high bay is rough. Well, the high bay can fit a super heavy booster, which is 70 meters tall, so it's a bit taller than that inside. And the tower will max out at 145-ish meters. So double the high bay.
Right. Yeah. And that's why you'll never see the Starship fully stacked inside the high bay. It can fit a super heavy and it can fit a Starship, but it cannot fit them together.
Right.
Peter Graham, we appreciate the support, but we cannot answer the question because we don't know the Starship orbit test date. They said, "Hi, launch date for the Starship
Oh.
orbit test." I'm sorry, but we can't. We have no idea.
Yeah, yeah, it's basically like we knew they were headed for July 1st. That's obviously not going to happen because they need the tower and everything, and they need the launch mount, and they need the stand. So yeah, I mean they're ticking along for things, but they're not close
Yeah.
yet. Yeah.
And then Carlos Fitosa said, "Amazing views. Thanks, Jack and NSF team. Well, thank you for the support." And then Christopher Tilley, this was when Starship was much closer to Jack, said pan up. And I believe, even though your comment wasn't on the screen, Jack did that for you because we did see Jack pan up for us
Oh yeah,
at
we
one
definitely
point.
had a pan up.
Yep. Um, uh, I think it's Quetzalcoatl. Says, thanks
Okay.
SpaceX for giving access to these views. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we always like to thank SpaceX for just allowing this to happen. Allowing us to, well, like we've got Danger Cam out there that is, it's so close and gives us such great views, and I feel like they just kind of put up with us, but it's awesome that they allow us to do this stuff. And then we have a new member, Alan. Thank you very much for that ongoing support. We appreciate it. Um, all right. Ryan Hamstra said, "We love that you guys just talk. It makes it feel like my group of friends chatting on Discord instead of feeling like watching CNN." Well, thank you. That's that's good.
Yeah.
Indeed.
We appreciate that. Yeah, because
Come for the space news and stay for the hilarious tangents. Yeah.
right.
All
Go
right.
through
Well, here
the
we go. Yeah,
Yeah.
look, since it's behind the
what do you
building
got?
there, let's go ahead and go to a different angle. Ah, look at
Whoa!
the
Did
two
they clone
Okay.
starships.
it?
Oh, that's so good.
How are
So
there two? Oh, technically three. Isn't that
this
little
is.
dome thing? Isn't that little tank thing one that they tested? Oh well.
Oh,
Hello,
Uh-oh.
dump truck
wait.
with
Hello, dump
frozen.
truck. Suddenly.
Yeah.
Yeah, hang on. You know something? That dump truck may have temporarily blocked the signal. That may be an issue here because it was literally a
Ah.
wall of metal. Stand by. I'm going to work on that.
But yeah, no,
Oh,
anyway, back to the last oh, as it appears and emerges behind
yeah.
the mid bay. All
Yeah.
very good, yes. No, I appreciate that for a lot of you, you come and you hang out with us a lot based on how we have fun and how we love sitting here watching this. We're like kids in candy stores too, so it's
Yeah.
it's it's fun and good on from my point of view that we're able to like have that happiness and that excitement translate to everyone that we're broadcasting this to, because
Yeah.
these are cool things that are happening. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really moving.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
They're not wasting any time.
Ah, there we go. Oh,
Yeah,
right
we
as the
may we
bird
may
flies
be in a
in.
situation here where big vehicles that cross in front may temporarily interrupt the signal. But we're gonna watch it. That may just be the reality of this specific spot where the towers are. So we'll see. If it drops, we'll be cutting back and forth between the other cameras, but that may be something we're dealing with here.
Frost T said hashtag win scrap. No, we're hoping for maybe possibly put on display. I'm looking through the at NASA spaceflight queue over here, trying to find some questions. Um, Ben Stein said, "Why not reusing the flaps?" Interesting. I guess they could, but they could be improving
I
them with each iteration.
yeah, that I think that's it. It might just be the ones that they've got planned for the orbital flight are not this particular design, so it's just easier to switch.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is cool. I do wonder what will become of this like Starship Overflow parking amusement center that's happening over here.
Yeah.
Like You know,
I would
like
I would think if one was going on display, it would probably be SN15, since
I would imagine, yeah.
yeah.
Why
Display
not
the one that
both?
flew. Well, that
Why
too, but like seriously, why not display the one that yeah, yeah.
why have one when you can have two for twice the price?
There we go. We're
That
going to see it come out from behind the high bay. Jack, you're good to go with what you need to do. Jack needed a second to adjust the position there.
Yeah.
But that's 15 over on the right-hand side in
Wow.
the nose cone tint. You can actually see you can see that big tint on the right-hand side with a nose cone sitting outside of it right now. But booster whatever is in the high bay. You can see that. Some GSE tanks there in the nose cone we've been talking about on occasion. But SN16 should be coming out from behind the high bay shortly. And we're going to get Jack's camera back as well. There's just a temporary, we needed to readjust some wiring and stuff.
right.
So
Kerry
long.
Coasters wanted to know what kind of testing do you think SpaceX will do on BN3, or will they just throw SN20 on top of it and hope for the best? No, I don't think they would just throw it up there and hope for the best. I would
Ah,
imagine there's going to be some static fires with BN3. I mean,
that's a
okay,
good
to
that's a good
clarify,
point. Like ground
they may
testing, yeah, I think they're gonna
yeah
ground test it, but flight test? No, I think they're gonna put it on top and hope for the best
yeah
after the ground test.
yeah. I imagine we'll see it go through similar testing campaigns like we've seen in the past, where they'll do like an ambient pressure test, and then they'll do like a cryogenic test, and then a static fire. Um, yeah, I think especially SpaceX being a company that really likes to test, I would think that we'd see a very similar testing campaign.
Yeah. We switched over to that camera out on the beach because we could see behind the high bay
Oh,
where
yeah,
we
look at
couldn't see it
that.
from the other angle. Yeah. 2 Starships. Look at that. And nose cone jail. Can't forget nose cone jail. It's still over
Nose
there on the
coach.
right hand side. Can you imagine like CNN saying nose cone jail live on the air? Like, not a traditional news broadcast here, folks, but we're
No.
glad y'all enjoy it and hang out with us.
Let's see. Mist
God.
Solar wants to know, with all the tanks empty, does Starship float on the sea? Well, it hasn't yet, but
It
I think
could,
so.
but it
Yeah.
it it won't. Um, yeah, it could with all the valves with all the fill and drain lines closed and the tanks yeah, sure, certainly it could float. Yeah.
Yeah.
Buoyancy, displacement, I mean it's big enough and large enough that it could certainly probably displace a lot if it didn't have everything else installed on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've seen that the Falcon 9s float when they touch down.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah. It's basically just a big boat. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, you could probably cut it in half, and it may still float if you cut it in half. Like make 2 Starship boats out of 1 Starship. I don't know
As the
the
water
exact
line
math on
would
it,
be
but
low enough, yeah.
yeah, that's how
Yeah.
boats work. I mean, boats are just a big
Yeah.
steel to half, not cylinder specifically, but you may have some roll issues and stuff like that if you tried to make a Starship boat. But I'm pretty sure it would float.
And we've had a couple super chats come in the last few minutes. Dorkmo said Arby's 5 by 5 or $5.55. Thanks. I think. Oh yeah, I think that's maybe buying Jack a roast beef sandwich or something.
Nice.
Ah,
Um, and then EG02 said, "You guys see the countdown and Shotwell's speech? Yeah, we talked about that
Yep,
earlier.
we've talked
There's
about it.
just yeah, not to read too much into it because there's no telling when that video was made. Interesting, yeah, definitely interesting. But don't read too much
now
into it.
see that yeah, that was something I read into it like that was the number of days until the Raptors were done. Like, not until,
Yeah,
like, a liftoff, but, I
right.
mean, yeah, I also didn't freeze frame it, so I was going by what I saw, but, yeah,
Yeah,
I exactly, I whatever it is, don't read too much into it.
yeah. Uh, Jonathan Kipowski said maybe they're not scrapping it, just parking it so they can start building SN20. Love your live videos. Hi from Gothenburg, Sweden. Well, hello out there in Gothenburg.
Cool.
Yeah, it could be that they're just moving. I mean, ultimately, it'll either be put on display or scrapped. I would think I don't think they're just gonna keep lining up old starships. But yeah, I mean, they're making room. I would say in the high bay, like, hey, we got to get this out of here. We got to start making more starships.
Yeah. It's like launch or get off the stand.
Yeah.
Right? You've been retired. Off
Yeah.
to the.
Jeez.
Gas well there.
Um,
Nice.
Kevin Morris thinks they may have seen something. Did you happen to notice what appeared to be a compressor behind SN16 pressing the tanks for transport? Do they would they
I don't
pressure
think
would
you
they
would.
would
I
they
don't think you would pressurize the tanks for transport. No.
Look
yeah
at
because
this.
I mean, because that. They got-
You know, I just need to move that crane over there.
just in the regular day. Yeah, Stephen. They wouldn't pressurize the tanks for the move because if you pressurize the tanks, you have made a bomb.
right.
Um, and no, they would not pressurize the tanks for the move. No.
Yeah, starships. It is Starship is made out of stainless steel, but it's not like the old Atlas that had to be pressurized at all times, right? Like
No,
that.
no, no, it's not like that. No, no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. It does not have to be pressurized at all times. No.
Anybody want to enhance?
Oh,
Yes.
Yes. So Jack has
When
resituated
starships
there.
meet.
Yeah. When starships meet, we're gonna have a bunch of baby starships running around Remedios Road over there.
Yeah, yeah. It's their homestead. Yeah. Too good. I mean, it's just
yeah,
amazing to me. Like I've been here, but it was almost 2 years ago, and this site is unrecognizable, like from
yeah.
memory. Wow.
Somebody said amazing that 12,000 people are watching a water tower being scrapped.
Yes, well, 12,000 people were previously watching a piece of steel be lifted on top of another piece of steel
It's
on
true.
a tower. I love how much people love these, and,
Yeah.
and and love everything that's going on out there. It's we said it before, but like the uniqueness of this, like we don't normally get to see how a space center and a spaceport is built. We
Yeah.
don't normally get to see companies from day one of testing through to the final product. We just don't normally get to see it with what is essentially unrestricted access. So
Mhm.
it's incredible. I mean, there's some restrictions, but you know what I mean. Like, it's just remarkable and happy every day that there are thousands and thousands of you out there that eat this up just like we do every
Yeah.
single day. Any more questions, Steven?
Yeah. This one here, if the main goal of a test flight is to collect data, how will they get data from SN20 reentry? Well, it is
Oh, yeah.
transmitted over the air. Even
Hmm.
even if it's ultimately going to meet its demise at the end of the flight, they're able to download that telemetry and everything from Starship as it's coming in. So they definitely can still get the data without actually recovering Starship itself.
Yeah, and there are tricks, right, in terms of where you can
Oh,
aim the antennas and everything on Starship, right? The communication antennas, because we hear a lot about, oh, during atmospheric reentry, right? There's the blackout period where you can't get a communication signal through the plasma stream and everything that's enveloping the vehicle, and that's not necessarily true. It's usually a function of like what type of communication system is on board, where is the antenna in relation to the peak of the heating. So you could actually put antennas on the side that we're looking at now there that would be able during atmospheric reentry to communicate upward to satellites. So you can still get the full flight envelope of data, um, even if you don't
Okay.
recover the vehicle at the end of it.
That's interesting. So when it's going through the fiery phase, as I usually call it,
Hmm.
I know that when crews come back, like that's usually a blackout, but they can actually
Yes.
broadcast up.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, so it depends on the craft because the steeper the craft comes in, the more higher the trajectory, the more brutal the atmospheric entry, the more likely you are to lose that communication because your heating is going to be stronger. But for
Hmm.
vehicles like Starship, which kind of eases itself into the atmosphere, it's aerodynamic, it has some lift, it can kind of hang out and control its thermal condition, right, in the atmosphere as it's coming and managing its energy down toward the landing site. But that whole backside is just aimed up at satellites. And the shuttles used to be able to communicate once the TGIS network was up and running, the tracking and data communication relay satellite network that NASA has up there. Once that was up and running, the shuttles could come through atmospheric reentry with good communication unless their tails literally blocked the line of sight
Anybody
Oh.
like
of the satellite.
Starship Heavy there?
Yeah, look
It
at
looked like
that.
there were two next to each other, and now they're almost just
Look,
going to
quick,
combine into a single starship.
I like how it actually looks like one with the.
Yeah,
I love
look at that.
perspective. I love it. Do. It's like one of those cartoons where like the bear runs behind the really skinny tree,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
disappears.
I had to switch to that really quickly because they were the starships. The starships were aligning, so I had to switch to the shot.
We've got some more support coming in. Bobby Flay, thank you for the support. What is that?
What is that?
Oh.
Oh, let's see how this affects our signal here.
Yeah, those other trucks passing, it was a little bit of a hiccup, but it didn't lose altogether, so that's good.
Yeah. Oh, that's 100% what it is because we run very low latency with very little buffer. When we get a vehicle that's complete, it's just like a huge wall of metal right in front of us. We lose the frame rate for just a second, and the vehicle keeps going, and it recovers. So it's a testament to this unit that Jack is using. It's called a LiveView Solo, a little prosumer video encoder and bonder, and it's recovering like a champion every time a vehicle go. Well, there you go. Hi, truck. Watch, it's not going to recover this
Yeah.
time. Oh, look at that! It hung in there.
Because the truck was see-through.
Yeah, the truck was
That's
see-through.
right.
Every time it loses the signal, it picks it right back up, and in the video, the show goes on. This is not like a little homebrew encoder. It's news equipment. It's basically the same sort of stuff that news channels will use for their field stand-ups, where you've got somebody out in the field like, oh, the hurricane's blowing like crazy. They have this sort of equipment with them, and that's what we're using here.
And a quick correction to something earlier. Mary, who's on a well-deserved vacation but is listening in, let me know in the background that the starships are actually pressurized to some degree, using nitrogen. So I guess they are pressurized. I take that back. They are pressurized to some degree with nitrogen.
But
Look at this. This is like a Starship family we have going on here. Check this out.
oh wow.
Aww.
You've got
Mom,
the
Dad, and the kid.
yeah, the baby Starship,
Or
two
the parents and the kid, I
Yeah,
should
the
say.
parents
Yes.
and the baby Starship there. It still needs to grow into its legs. It's
Yeah,
missing a lot of
it needs
parts.
some water. Yeah,
Yeah.
we need to water that starship so it can grow up a little more. All right. Let's see. Amit Chatterjee is a new member. Thank you very much for that ongoing support. Let's see. Michael Kevin Sibyl said they've made diners out of 737s. Why not a Starship diner? What
you
a
go.
what
Oh,
fantastic
there we
flights
go.
today. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be a great idea. Oh man. Yeah, you could just they could put like a window in the top of it and you could that'd be awesome. Sit there and
I still think they should make hotels. I think that
Yeah.
they should put rooms in these starships and have like hotel rooms, and whether it's for employees or whether they rent them out to the public. Can you imagine the wait list to stay in the Starship Hotel?
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
just
yeah, because how many rooms could you have in there? You know.
a lot, actually.
A lot. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, man, a multi-year, depending on how quickly they could build them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, if you include the entire, like the tank and everything. I guess I was just thinking of like the tip. But yeah, if you included the entire thing, yeah, you could
Oh
put
yeah, because
quite a few
the
rooms in there.
fuel tanks could be converted. Like you could convert the fuel tanks into a room as well, because you don't need to have fuel in them. You know.
Let's see. Gotham says, can you make a guide on how to visit that place, where to stay, and where to eat? You know, that might exist.
Well,
Um,
basically, go to Brownsville, Texas. Get on Highway
Yeah.
4. It's Boca Chica Boulevard. It's literally called Boca Chica Boulevard. There's an exit off Interstate 69 East. That's why Elon built Starbase there, I think, because it's right off I-69. But you get on Boca Chica Boulevard, which is Highway 4, and you just drive that way. You'll go past a Border Patrol checkpoint on the way out to Boca Chica. You don't have to stop. You just drive on past, and Highway 4 will take you right into Starbase right here. And like Jack, this view is Jack just parked on the side of Highway 4. So in terms of eating and getting gas, there's no services out there. There's no food out there at Boca Chica. It's about a 30-minute drive. You're going to gas up your car in Brownsville, get ice for your coolers and stuff like that back up in Brownsville. None of those services are available at Boca Chica itself. But literally, not kidding, you can just get on Boca Chica Boulevard, Highway 4, and drive right out there. It's Brownsville, Texas. The airport is Cabro. KBRO is Brownsville Airport. And you got a couple airports nearby if you're flying in. Harlingen is another airport that you could fly in, or a larger airport up in Corpus Christi is about 2 hours north of Brownsville, 2.5 hours north of Boca Chica.
Yeah.
So,
And then I would say too, I'm not going to list any by name, but there are many, many, many restaurants, local owned as well as chains down there. Some of the local owned restaurants are absolutely fantastic
Yeah.
in that area. So you will be spoiled with good food when you are in South Texas. Yes,
yeah,
it
that's
does
for
have
sure.
good food.
Chris
Um,
Worley
yeah.
wanted to know if the houses to the right are the village. And I'm going on a
No.
limb and say no.
Yeah, that A-frame
although
house there is not part of the village.
it does look very village-esque, though. I was going to comment on
It
that
does.
whenever we first got this view. Yeah, it looks like a
Village-esque.
quaint, yeah, like a quaint village, and then a starbase was built around it.
Yeah, that's the
Yes.
that was additional house that was a little outside of the village, and then like the high bay and the tents and stuff like that are basically between that house and the village proper. Village is more over to the right-hand side here.
Blazemonger said, not going to lie, the drive to go and see these in real life is growing slowly. But they're talking about going to see themselves. But flights out to Brownsville are kind of expensive from Ireland.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, that would be expensive. Now, what I could offer you, although every time we bring this up to our British boss, he scoffs at how long it takes us. I'll say this: it's only 6 hours from a major intercontinental airport.
Yeah.
What, for Houston?
Yeah, from Houston.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's about 7 hours from Houston, which could help you reduce the airline cost significantly, because the bulk of the cost actually getting down into Brownsville is the last leg of that flight from the Dallas-Houston area.
No,
down.
Chris. You fly
it
into
is for
San
me.
Antonio. Don't fly into Houston. Fly into San Antonio. San Antonio is a hidden market, and you can usually get cheaper flights into San Antonio, which cuts about an hour and a half off the drive if you went to Houston. I've lived down there
No,
the longest time.
no. Okay, so
Oh.
sorry, I was talking about when you fly into Brownsville or Harlingen, the final part of the thing that makes the flight more expensive is that final hop
Yes, yes. And what I'm
down
saying
in there.
is
So
instead of flying
yeah,
into Houston, fly into San Antonio. It's cheaper for you to fly into
ah,
San Antonio, sometimes via Houston. So a flight that takes you to Houston, then you get on a connection, you fly to San Antonio. Because of the way the airlines price that, sometimes that's cheaper than flying into Houston, getting off, and then driving another hour and a half. It's a little South Texas trick because I grew up in Corpus and I flew in and out of Texas for, 15, 20 years of my life. And San Antonio is usually a really good that truck was bigger. A really good place to balance out the cost of the ticket versus the drive down that way. Super
All
secret. Now,
right.
don't tell the airlines that. Don't have them change that. But
Right. Yeah, they're gonna catch wind that people are going down to Boca Chica. They're gonna
yeah. But Chris is absolutely right. It is more expensive if you want to fly into the little airports. You want to fly into Harlingen or you want to fly into Brownsville. Victoria is not easy, but it's another little airport that's out that way. So they do charge you a premium to fly in that, but San Antonio is the little known secret. Price your tickets into San Antonio, and unless it's all changed, that's a good way to save some money. And get some good Mexican food on the way out. Anyways,
indeed,
Yeah.
yes.
back to y'all.
Bernie wanted to know how do you stream from Boca Chica? Cell signal is very weak over there. DOS?
The magic
more
of
cell
DOS.
signal.
Yes.
Yeah, add more cell signal. Jeez.
Add more, more cell signal.
No, a lot of what we do, we either have specialized antennas, because if you understand how things work and you understand how signal crosses bodies of water, you can tune your antennas and you can tune to certain bands to get more stability, right? And then we also have, like, the unit that Jack's on right now is actually a unit that can bond multiple modems together. So nominally, when we have everything up and running, this is 4 LTE modems that are all bonded. They're used all at once, and they're spread across different networks, and they can use the special antennas as well. So there's a lot of tech that goes into actually getting stable signals out there. If you just roll out with a cell phone and try to start a stream, it may not be very successful, but we've spent a lot of time and a lot of super chats, honestly, on getting the equipment set to tune that. There's some really weird signal anomalies around there, and unless you're really looking at the scanner saying like, "Wow, what's going on?" It is tough to stream from Boca Chica, but with y'all's help and a whole lot of experience, we're usually able to get a pretty good signal. This one's a little tough because we're not on 404 modems right now, so we don't have the antennas out. We're not on 404. We're on a limited modem set, and so we're getting the hiccups when the trucks drive by. But if we knew we were going to be sitting here, we could have even adjusted for that before Jack ran over that way. Oh, it's a lot of special sauce to get the stream out of there, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And so we had a question. SFS QWERTY said, I came to the stream late and want to know what they're doing with SN16. So probably a good idea to sort of get everybody caught up. If you came in late, the tower stacking is actually complete for all intents and purposes. I'm sure they're still doing stuff. They're bolting or whatever they're doing over there. But we noticed that SN16 was moving out of the high bay. And so Jack ran over to get some closer views, and boy, howdy, he got some closer views.
Howdy, is right.
They drove it right out of the gate, right in front of him. I mean, feet from where Jack was standing, and we got some awesome views. And now they've gone back into what was the name of this road here? You said it earlier.
Remedios. Yeah, this is Remedios Road.
And obviously it's down there next to SN15 now, and we're waiting to see kind of which direction they turn. We're just kind of watching. It's like we were already streaming and saw some movement with SN16. It's like, well, hey, we're already going. Let's see what's going on with this.
Yeah. And this road that we're looking up right now, this is the sort of source of that complaint from the DA down there. So you can see, like, it's just a public road. It's not like a big gate. It's not a bunch of things blocking it off. It's not even clear that this is part of SpaceX's facility because it's not. It's SpaceX facility on the right-hand side of the road. It's SpaceX facility on the left-hand side of the road. But that's a public road right there. And you thought that it was bad when there was one Starship, people wanting to take a left onto that road and turn down and take a selfie next to the Starship. Now that there's two Starships down there, I imagine they're going to have to sort that out with the county pretty quickly because a lot of people are going to be wanting to drive up and take that close-in photo with both of the Starships. But that is
Oh, yeah.
exactly the road right there that that complaint was referring to. Remedios Road goes straight towards the Starships, and you can see the draw. You can see why you'd want to turn that way.
Yeah. Ooh, I got some thunder down here in Cocoa Beach. I didn't know it was coming.
Nice. Yeah, our afternoon storms here are firing off finally.
Yeah. Hopefully my electricity keeps going. Haven't had any problems. We've had some storms here the last week or so because there was that tropical system that was kind of spinning off out in the Atlantic, and we've been definitely getting some of that, and then our typical afternoon showers here. So far, so good though.
Yeah. Hey, just checking in real quick, Steve, you had mentioned the tower. This is how we started the
There you
stream today. And you can see now
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tower segments tall. They just stacked that up there with a big mega crane. We call it Franken crane because it's together from all the parts of other cranes. You can see all the different colors on it. But that is what we started the stream with today. And then we got the treat of the SN16 rollout. Is it a treat for SN16? Maybe not. But that's what we're doing here.
Let's see. Gordon Ralph said, can you please walk us through the whole orbital refueling process and how the steps will allow for more payload to travel? Well, we haven't seen it happen yet, but what we think it is going to be is there's going to be two starships, and they'll meet like engines to engines, and there'll be some kind of connection contraption, and well, the interesting part is how do you get free floating fuel from one to another? Well, you can
Oh,
apply
very
just
easily. Yes.
you apply just a little bit of thrust and then open the valves and then allow the fuel to transfer over to the trailing vehicle, right?
Hey,
You
really
Go
quick. You want to see something funny?
yes.
Sure.
Pegasus is out and about at the port.
Oh yeah.
We're doing
Yeah.
the grand tour of the U.S.
It
Space
is.
Centers here today.
Grand tour. That is the covered barge that delivered the SLS core stage to Kennedy Space Center.
Really?
I was watching for it, and then we got talking about Starship stuff, and I glanced back over and hid past our camera there. But that is Pegasus being taken over to the dock. Not sure what they're gonna do with it, but all
Yeah,
sorts of
it's not
space hardware.
leaving.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
That's like
that's a parking area. What's that mid
mid basin. Yeah, that's mid basin.
yeah.
Yeah,
Huh.
isn't that where they bring rocket ship, the ULA, Atlas
Yes.
V and Delta IV? Isn't that where they dock? Yeah.
Speaking of which, there is an
Yes.
Atlas V heading this way, which will be the Atlas V that launches the Starliner here
Indeed.
in I can't remember when it is. It's like within the next couple of months, right? But
Back to Starship
Yeah.
before
It is.
chat riots.
yeah, I know.
Yes. For chat, right? Well, it's also worth bringing up. There's so much going on today. We've got the two events at Boca Chica. We have the ongoing spacewalk outside the ISS. We have Pegasus on the move. And teams on the ground and at the Space Telescope Science Institute and at the Goddard Space Flight Center are trying to revive the Hubble Space Telescope as well today. Hubble went into safe mode after suffering a failure on Sunday, we just found out, with its memory, and they are working through the procedures today to get the telescope back up and running. So hopefully it'll be back up by Friday. But lots going on in space today, my goodness.
No kidding. It's
Yeah.
like the live space news show here.
It really is, my goodness.
Yeah. And about the see, I don't think I was done with the refueling.
Yeah,
so
so I
apply a
did
little.
jump in, Steven. Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, you apply. So you take the Starship that has the fuel, you point it whatever direction, and you apply thrust in that direction, and that forces the fuel to flow. We'll call it backwards into the empty or the Starship that needs to be filled. Now, one thing that I hadn't thought about until I think it was Chris that suggested this, like when it comes to having crew, they could what was it? Like send up a crew starship empty and then refuel it and then send up another one with the crew and transfer over to the starship? Was that the idea you put forth? Am I getting that wrong?
I don't know specifically about that one. If we're I don't know specifically about that one, but I think what we were talking about are like crew missions to other parts of the solar system. Would you launch the crew on the ship, knowing that that ship has to be refueled multiple times in orbit in order to get to its destination, or would you launch it uncrewed, do all the refueling missions, and then launch another starship with the crew, dock the two together, and transfer the crew? I think
Right.
that was part of what was going on there. In terms of fuel transfer, I don't know if you'd want to do it with ships, but I know another way that you could transfer fuel is to create a slight pressure difference between the two tanks, and then as the pressure tries to equalize itself, it would pull fuel in one direction into another
But
tank. So
you'd still have to have thrust being applied in some direction to get the fuel to settle towards
The inlets.
the
Yeah,
inlet.
the whole.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
The ullage, I
But
guess.
yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah,
But I
same
guess
reason
the
like
pressure could
when you
just like
hear
speed that process up.
yeah, and it's the same exact sort of process as when you see two-stage rockets stage themselves, right? And then you hear sometimes over the loop, you hear or you see thrusters start firing on the second stage, right, to settle all of that propellant and push it down toward the engine. So it's the same sort of philosophy there, but instead of pushing fuel into an engine to be burned, you're just pushing fuel from one tank through a Starship connection into the other.
Right. Yeah. So Gordon, I hope that answers the question. Chris Mix said it's a 4-hour drive for San Antonio. Will they come back to 15 and there's two separate comments. Will they come back to 15 and 16 and if everything works out on orbital lunch? I'm sorry, I have to point out that you said lunch. It happens to all of us.
Well, I haven't eaten lunch yet.
Something your phone or your computer or something auto-corrected launch into lunch, and it's always funny when we see that.
Yep. Oh yes, Stephen, you can say the many, many times you have received texts from me about a lunch instead of a
Yes, yes.
launch. Yes.
What time is lunch? Like, I already ate, man.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I like this next one, Steve.
The
Chris Mix, yeah, with the super chat here. Chris was saying, take both starships and place them at the entrance of Starbase to make the gate entrance. So imagine on either side of the road a starship and then a sign across it that says Starbase or something like that. Speaking of which, they already have the Starbase sign on the ground there. We've seen some photos of the Starbase sign, and we have one of our merch, commemorative merch things, the Starbase t-shirt design we've got with the starship and the cranes and the high bay and the moon, and there's a little Easter egg on there. I don't know how many people have found the Easter egg on that shirt, but head on over to shop.nasaspaceflight.com. There you go. shop.nasaspaceflight.com and go check out that Starbase shirt. There's mugs and stuff like that as well. And tell me in chat, see if you can figure out what the Easter egg is. I haven't mentioned it on the stream, but on that drawing there is one little thing, and I'm curious if people will pick up on what it is. But again, we're able to keep this stuff going because y'all keep showing up. You're doing the super chats. You're letting ads roll as much as everybody loves ads. Whenever we do the daily videos, you're showing up to the streams, and the merch store is another great way to make it so that we can keep on keeping on with the coverage here. And you get a cool shirt or mug or hat or something like that in the meantime. But I'll be reading chat. Be looking and chat here and see if you can tell me what the little Easter egg we included on the Starbase shirt. Shop.nasaspaceflight.com. Mods, put that link into chat if you could. Yes. Back to you.
Now I'm like looking closely. Like, what's the Easter
Well,
egg?
don't say it out loud. You
I'm
can't
not
just
going to
tell 'em
say
what
it
the
out
Easter
loud.
egg is.
Yeah, I'm not going to say, but I am going to bring it over here and blow it up briefly so I can look myself. Oh no, yeah. Now you're going to take it away from me.
Well, go to shop.nasaspaceflight.com and look at it.
I've got to
Jeez.
look for questions, okay? Okay, let's see. Gotham said, "Can SpaceX build a road within SpaceX property connecting the build and launch site?" I don't know if the terrain would
Yeah, I got you on
move
that.
out.
There's not a lot of room on either side. It's the state park, it's fish and wildlife land. Certainly, they could work out some of that with the state park or the fish and wildlife. But even so, you'd still have to cross Highway 4. The production side is on the left side of Highway 4. The test side is on the right side of Highway 4. So even if you had your own road, you'd still have to close it down in order to get across it, right? The terrain's a little bit tough, but Highway 4 exists. They could certainly build another Highway 4 if they had the room to do so. It's just those state park lands, the fish and wildlife managed lands, and there's actually some private properties in there as well that they would have to roll through if they wanted to put a road. On the other side of Highway 4, like on the right-hand side, as you're headed out towards the test site, that's water. That's not suitable to build on right there. Salt flats and rising and lowering tides out there. You'd have to be on the left-hand side, and is the availability of the land and what they've already put in position. Because you'd have to tear down the restaurant. Remember the cool little restaurant with the flap, the fin awning? That's right
Yeah.
in the way of where you would put a road. Like you would have to move that or something if you were going to try and get from the production site over to the test site. So for now, they're just continuing to use Highway 4, and it'll be interesting to see how that changes. The cadence of launches affects road closures and public access to the beach and all that sort of stuff. Certainly something somebody's got to be thinking of going forwards. So
Yeah. Chris Mix was thinking the same thing I was thinking. It said instead of Jurassic World, it'd be SpaceX World. That's
Yes.
exactly the image that I had in my head. Was welcome.
Although
to
hopefully the
Jurassic Park.
Raptors don't get loose.
Yeah.
Yes. No, when you started talking about that, two starships flanking, I was like, this is the Jurassic Park doors.
yeah,
Yep.
the
I love
Jurassic
it,
Park
yeah.
doors. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks like some people have figured out what the teeny tiny Easter egg is there. We had to do it, but on the Starbase shirt, up in one corner, there's a little red dot that's Mars out there, out behind Starbase, out behind the starships. You got the moon really big, sure. Hey, Starship to the moon, HLS, etc., but you cannot have Starbase without having Mars out there, and we have a little red dot that signifies where all this is going towards. So
Awesome.
that was the Easter egg. Of course, we have all the other stuff. We have Hopper, we have the crane, we have SN, whatever you want to call it. We have a bunch of different stuff there, but the Easter egg I was talking about was the little red dot, the only real color on there that is representing why SpaceX is doing all this.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And they charge by the color, y'all. When you get stuff screen printed,
They charge by the color.
because they
It's
got to make
true.
a separate screen just for that one.
Yeah, you're right. It is. The more colors you put on it, the more expensive the shirt is. So,
It's true.
anyways, that is cool. And folks, the merch thing. Somebody was laughing about how smooth the merch plug transition there was. It's like, oh, here's a super chat. We can turn right into a store promotion. We have fun with it. We don't want to be here like, make sure you buy merch every 3 minutes because we make money off merch. Make sure you buy merch. But every now and then, it is really cool when you see somebody come back and post on Twitter a picture of their Starbase mug or their Texas Tank Watcher shirt or whatever. It is really cool, and we're not out here just saying, "Oh, well, here's some junk for you to buy so that we can buy more cameras." Like, it is really nice stuff that is in the store there. So, anyways, I'm wondering. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well,
Well,
I was just gonna hit questions, but what are you wondering? Over
Yeah, I'm wondering where we are at here. Where we're at here, we haven't seen any more motion from
No.
SN16. It's sort of at the end of the road there, and the tower stacking operations seem to be done as well. The crane isn't disconnected, but the crane could stay connected for days, we've seen. So I'm wondering where we are at with the broadcast. We were just intending to cover the crane lift, and we got the crane lift and a bonus Starship close encounter.
Yeah, that
Well-
was incredible.
Yeah.
We
But
had a
certainly-
question
Go
about
ahead.
tomorrow. So our next broadcast will be BN 2.1. Well, our next broadcast in Boca Chica will be BN 2.1. Cryo-proof testing as early as tomorrow between noon and 8 p.m. Central Time. But there is also a GPS launch from Florida tomorrow morning. So 2 streams tomorrow.
Yeah, I've got to go out
There
for
is, yeah, that-
remote setup here in just a few hours here.
Yeah, in fact, that GPS launch is about 23 hours from now. It is scheduled for 12:09 p.m. Eastern, or I believe that is 13, 14, 16:09 UTC. So
Okay.
yes,
So
coming up quick.
potential multiple streams tomorrow. And hey, if hanging out with us is the way you like to spend your day, you know how to get back to the channel. Click the sub button, turn on the notifications so you get notified when we go live. This is what we do. We've got cameras all over Boca Chica. We've got both camera operators like Mary, Boca Chica Gal, and Jack, who's out there that are taking those daily videos and stuff like that, and live streams like we have here so that we can get crazy good shots like this. And then we also do coverage of all the other launches. The Cape launches coming out of the Cape. I can't believe it's not Starlink. We had a Minotaur launch. The Minotaur 1 launched out of Wallops yesterday, and Brady Keniston was out there for us covering that thing, jumping off the pad with a 2-point crazy TWR. So this is
Talk
what we
about that
do.
banana.
Yeah, the banana
Yeah.
peel, man. That thing banana split off the launch pad, I tell you that much.
Yeah.
But this is what we do. This is what we cover. We want to help people gain an understanding of what's going on in spaceflight. That's why we're a little bit fast and loose. We're telling jokes. We're having fun with the conversation. We're not like, and now Starship weighs 3,000 pounds times a lot, because 3,000 pounds isn't that much. That's not how we are. We try to have a lot of fun with it. So if y'all have fun hanging out with us, make sure you can get back to the channel, toss a follow, turn on notifications on Twitter. At NASA Spaceflight is our main Twitter account. And if you go over there and turn on notifications for that, you'll get a Twitter notification when we go live as well. So I don't want to lay it on too thick, but we're able to do this because y'all show up. So I want to make sure y'all can show up every time we go live. It should always be interesting. That's what we try to do, is always make it interesting for y'all. Nice. So do we want to make sure we didn't
Good.
miss any of the chat queue there?
Yeah. Let's see. I'll run down. We've just got a couple of super chats hanging out in the queue here. We've got Ryan Spooner, who's a new member. Thank you very much for that ongoing support. David Innes wanted to know, how is SpaceX prepared for hurricanes? Really strong structures.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. You just batten down the hatches as much as you can, and when it passes, you assess the damage and rebuild.
Yeah.
Kind of the same way all of us in Hurricane Central deal with them.
Right. Yep. Yeah, strong structures and hope that it holds, and if it doesn't, then you assess afterwards and repair. And Chris Mix with another super chat. Thank you so much. Actually, Chris Mix is the last two in the queue right now. The first one, he just said, "Sorry, on phone driving." And then the other one was, could you imagine when you get to the border checkpoint, two big starships on each side of the highway? It says, "Welcome to Starbase Tweet E." I don't know if the last part was supposed to be on there. Maybe they're speaking. Oh yeah, well, they did say on the phone driving. Yeah, welcome to Starbase. Yeah, that would be an incredible sight.
Yeah.
Let's see. I've got a couple others in the general at NASA Spaceflight question queue. This one should be kind of easy. Will BN3 ground testing be on the orbital pad? I'm not sure if we know, but I would think so. I would think they'd put the super
what?
heavy up when they go to test BN3. Would they put it up on the orbital pad? To do like I don't think they're asking about the orbital flight, but like to do like
Yeah,
static
no,
fire.
that's a good question. I mean, the suborbital pads would be available to them if they, for some things, but I would think they'd want it as far. I think with that many Raptor engines, you might want it farther off the ground than the
Yeah.
suborbital pads can provide, and the orbital pads are going to provide you more. It's going to rest higher up off the ground, so there's more way for that flame and that energy to dissipate as it comes out of the back end of the ship. So maybe for like fuel tests or pressure tests, they could use the suborbital ones, but I wouldn't expect them necessarily to fire the engines. But again, that's SpaceX. Things
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
If they fired up like 12 Raptors or something like that on a suborbital pad, we'd all be picking Martite out of our teeth for the next month. That is
Yeah.
definitely, it's definitely a pad that I think can support a small number of Raptor firings, but a large number of Raptor firings. Those suborbital pads, I'm just not sure they're designed for it. And the OLP definitely is. Chris,
There might
you're
not be a
absolutely right on that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it might be like a cartoon where like it fires successfully, but there's no stand left when it does.
Yeah, Jeez.
It-
Be a
it's
great
just-
shot from Danger Cam, though. Put it right there on pad A and just
Yeah.
fire up 15 Raptor engines like 100 feet from Danger Cam. We'll have a good old time with that broadcast.
Right, Danger Cam's last hurrah. Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
David had a question just for Doss. Hey, Doss, where can you get the best chicken fried steak near Boca Chica?
You know something? I haven't found the best chicken fried steak near Boca Chica. You'd have to be back in Brownsville somewhere, and I am positive there's a fantastic locally owned place in there some way that would give you a completely legitimate chicken fried steak. But when I was out there for a week, I didn't have time to find it. I was out working every single day, and it was a very much hit up HEB and get some sandwich meat and stuff like that, and stay out in the field working all day. Now I'm hungry for chicken fried steak. Jeez.
And
I
hey,
can't
if
wait to
you're-
see the number of questions from chat of people who don't know what that is.
Oh, does
Oh,
people not know what chicken fried steak is? It's
What about-
literally a steak that's been chicken fried, like fried chicken.
I was like the chicken fried chicken.
Chicken fried
That's
chicken.
Yeah.
What's the difference between chicken
It's-
fried chicken and just
I
fried
know,
chicken?
right? Is it-
I don't know,
I know,
but I've
right?
heard it. I've heard it said. And kind of along the chicken fried steak lines, there is a place here in Cape Canaveral called Southern Charm that has pork fried tenderloin that is
Oh yeah.
amazing.
Cell booster. Sorry.
What?
Amazing. That truck that just drove by had one of the omnidirectional cell booster antennas on it. You'll see them all over the work trucks.
Oh.
That's one of the tricks that we have out there. But you'll see those work trucks and you'll see that cell booster, and I just saw one of the work trucks with a cell booster on it. Sorry, Steven, I always just cut you off.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, let's see. A couple more super chats rolled in. Can we find the original Win Hop tweet? That person needs some credit. Who said?
Oh,
I-
jeez.
it's called Advanced Twitter Search. I'm sure someone could find it
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
If I'm
enough
not
time.
mistaken, I think it started on the SpaceX Master Race Reddit.
Oh, okay.
I
That would
could be
make
wrong,
sense.
though.
Yeah.
Well, we have the credit for its creation, at least.
Well, Michael has the domain name, so
Yeah, that's
Oh
right.
yeah, well no, and we're credited as the originators of it on Urban Dictionary. So
oh,
really?
really?
yes, we are. Yes, we
Oh
are.
man. Can I submit that when I try to get verified on Twitter? Like,
There you go.
you think they'll accept that?
Part of the
Look,
team
we're
that
in the
receives
dictionary.
Yeah, right.
Too
Oh,
funny.
Anyways.
I
Jack, what's up? We heard Jack for a second there.
yeah.
Could be wrong. I'm sorry.
All
Might
I
have
could make
to-
up was I could be completely wrong and then nothing.
Yeah, give us a
Yeah.
text message there, Jack.
Yeah.
See, the problem is we dedicate all our bandwidth to the video signal and we don't leave any left for Jack.
Oh, Omari in member Discord is the Wen Hop. Coined the term Wen Hop. Okay. Yes. There we go.
Maybe.
Is-
Maybe,
is what,
yeah, I don't know.
Is what Jack's memory is. Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But good.
There's one last super chat. $20. Thanks, Dave Kantz. Thanks for all the coverage. What a day.
Yeah.
What a day
What a
indeed.
day. That is a good way to phrase it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a good final super chat. Let's close the super chat gates and not allow any more super chats because that is absolutely right. What a day. Showed up to see the tower get stacked. And we were in a hurry. We're like, wow, it's already airborne. Oh, we got to go. We thought we had more time. And then we got live when it was about halfway up the tower. And apparently the universe paid us back and gave us that Starship close encounter, like I said earlier. So what a day is a fantastic way to put it.
So fantastic.
Yeah.
Good progress all around today, everywhere, both on Earth and in space. So
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Good day for space. It's been just a good few years for space.
That it has. That it has. All right.
Yeah,
Well, I think if I'm not mistaken, that'll do it, right, Das?
I think it's just one of those things. I mean, we could sit here live forever, but Jack is
Yeah.
going to need to get on back into the air conditioning, and Jack's going to need to upload some videos for the daily as well. And we're going to need to get off and start pulling some of these robotic videos so that we can put them into the daily. The stacking operations we got from all the different angles, and then the rollout as well. It takes us a little bit of time to pull those too. So. It may be time here for us, or I should say, it is time for us to go ahead and end our live coverage from Boca Chica, right around 1 p.m. local time. It looks like good timing,
Yeah.
intentional. Schedule it that way. But folks, as always, thank you so much for showing up. When we go live, we want y'all to know there's probably going to be something interesting going on. We thought it was going to be that tower stack, and we got that bonus Starship today. So one of our things is when the channels go live, we want you to know we go live because we have it on good authority that there's going to be something that you may be interested in seeing. So make sure you follow the channel. Make sure you turn on those notifications. Ring the bell or whatever the kids are saying these days. I don't know. I'm too old for that. But if you're over on Twitch, toss a follow. If you're on Twitter, at NASA Spaceflight is the main Twitter account to make sure you get notified, because when we go live, there should be something that you're interested in seeing, and maybe some interesting commentary as well. I know some people could give or take on that, but let's go around the horn real quick. Back in the studio providing the live commentary today, holding it down, we had Steve Marr. Steve, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's been quite a treat. Like I said before, I'm here in just a couple hours. I'm going to head out to Slick 40 here at Cape Canaveral, set up some cameras for tomorrow's launch. Right now, it's, I think actually the weather got improved to only 30% chance of violation.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's good. Hopefully we get our launch tomorrow. I believe it's going to be Chris and Julia out at the press site, and I believe I'm going to go try to shoot from Playa Linda. I realize it's a little bit further than like 39A, but I'm gonna give it a shot, see what I can get. If we don't like talking about money, but if you wanted to throw some bucks my way, I do have a print store. I have a Patreon / Space Coast Steve. If you're local, by the way, Friday Fest is coming back this week here in Cocoa Beach, and I'm gonna have a little pop-up store there selling some prints.
No kidding? Like spaceflight prints and stuff?
Yeah, selling my prints. And so if you just happen to be on the Space Coast and you want to go out for a good time, stop by and try to find me. I don't know exactly where I'll be. Somewhere down there around like Coconuts and the Minutemen Causeway area. Selling some prints.
Yeah, that's really
Wow,
cool.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be cool. I've been looking forward to this literally since last year. I got all the stuff, the pop-up tent and the tables, and ordered a bunch of my own prints and all this kind of stuff like over a year ago, like a year and a half ago. And then COVID started, and then I wasn't able to do it. So this has been a long time coming. So yeah, if you happen to be in the area, come by and say hi. And I'll be glad to meet you.
Good deal. What's your website again, Steve?
It's spacecoaststeve.com, where you can order prints.
Yeah, spacecoaststeve.com. Good deal. And we may have... Oh, nope, super long Starships for a second there. We may have lost Jack. But also, since we mentioned that, out in the field today, moving to a couple different spots was Jack Beyer. Jack, thank you so much for braving the heat and the lack of lunch so that you could get out there and show us what was going on. Switch over this way till that one recovers. We probably won't get solid audio from Jack there. Would we have you, Jack?
Can you hear me?
Barely. Yeah, you actually. Go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. Watch for it. I did have lunch.
Oh, he did have lunch, it sounded like.
Oh.
Yep.
Or did he have launch?
He had lunch or launch, one of those two things.
Yeah, also.
We heard the also, but you're cutting in and out, Jack. So if you want me to say something, just type it in and I will repeat it for you. So Jack is out there at Boca Chica. He's covering the daily videos. Mary, Boca Chica gal, is taking a well-deserved break. And so in the meantime, we've got other NASA spaceflight folks out there making sure we still keep the daily videos coming and covering for Mary so that she can take a little bit of a break. So Jack is out there. Now we'll have some different NASA spaceflight folks coming up in the next couple weeks as we rotate some people in and out. But massive thanks to Jack for rolling out. He's got the Patreon as well. He does all sorts of photography on the, I'm almost going to say on the side, aircraft photography and stuff like that. He's got prints available too on his website. And one of the mods, make sure you put the clickable links, like when we say, oh, such and such a website or whatever, get Jack's links into chat. I know we have those prepped already, so that you can head on over to his Patreon. Yep, right there. patreon.com/jackbuyer, and his website is jackbuyer.com. Those are those clickable links in chat, the easiest way to get to it. But massive thanks for Jack, not only for rolling out today so that we could get these crazy good, switching back to him, views like this, but also braving the heat in carrying out those daily videos and helping with the robot maintenance while I am not there. He has been plugging in wires and moving things around and deploying cameras and stuff like that. So thanks to everything Jack's doing out there. Back in the studio, Chris Gebhardt. We still got you? I think we do.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Chris is
Yes,
assistant
indeed.
managing editor for NASA's spaceflight, keeps all the lights blinking and stuff like that for us. Chris, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Always a pleasure. Yep.
Long Starships again.
Yeah.
Good deal. And Chris is over on Twitter as well, ChrisG_NSF. We heard a couple times from Michael Baylor too. Michael, thank you.
No problem. And hopefully we'll get some exciting BN 2.1 action tomorrow.
Yeah, we will be standing by, and if it looks like there's going to be something to show right here, same time, well, not really the same time, but the same channel at least, we'll be covering BN 2.1 testing. We'll be covering that launch out of the Cape. We'll be covering all sorts of different stuff. But Michael's over there on Twitter. He doesn't need any more followers. He's already got all the Twitter verification he needs. But he's next space flight on Twitter if you, I don't know, want to dig the hole deeper or something like that. Michael, thanks for everything you do.
No problem.
And his website is the place to go for.
Oh, that's
launch
right.
schedules. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
It is the place to go.
Just go to winhop.com,
There you go.
WENHOP.com. The website and the app is actually Next Spaceflight, where you can keep track of different launches that are occurring, different space news, an app on your phone that'll do little push notifications and stuff like that. And lastly, back here from NASA Spaceflight Livestream Control, my name is John Galloway. Some of you may know me as Das if you're over on the Twitch side. But I've been clicking on the cameras and trying to decide what we were going to show today, which was actually quite tough because we had so many different angles. It's just every now and then this is your shot. And it's like, well, maybe we don't leave it on this shot and we just, we switch over to another shot like this shot.
It did make that semi-truck look a lot cooler, though.
Dude, those are some really cool smokestacks on that semi-truck, aren't they?
Yeah,
wow.
right.
That is those are some custom stacks he's got there. It's that new methane-powered semi-truck, I guess. Raptor-powered semi.
That's awesome.
Anyways, folks, we always have a lot of fun with these broadcasts. We hope you do, too. There's that truck getting out of the way. But for now, we're going to go ahead and say goodbye. We'll be looking for you tomorrow for launches and more Boca Chica testing. But thanks, everyone, for making what we do possible, and we will see you nerds later. Thanks a lot for joining us today. Crank it up.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
RCP chamber pressure looks good. Toggling up. Roger roll, Atlantic.
Water towers can fly!
Tango Delta nominal.
Flight outside SC off. Bring in SC off.
Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.